Have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy. No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Front Porch Forensics deals with the darkest corners of human nature. This show contains graphic discussions of murder, violence, and the brokenness of the human soul. Listener discretion is strongly advised. But if you choose to stay, well, family, pull up a chair on our front porch, but know it gets real dark here real fast. In a city drowning in sin, and the rain pours down like judgment itself, drenching every street, every person, every soul in endless corruption. One man sits upon a journey to cleanse the city. He preaches to the world a sermon of death. He turns the seven deadly sins into a tangible testament to agony. He is patient, he is methodical, and he is one step ahead. And when the final box arrives, well, everything changes. What's in the box? Well, tonight we open it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another gripping episode of Front Porch Friends. I am BumpStocks Ken, your producer and co-host. Here with me is the host and mastermind of the show, the infamous BumpStocks Barbie. You say hello.
Hi, guys.
We are coming to you from our front porch, and tonight we dig deep into true crime and the dark corners of the human mind. Joining us tonight is a special guest known as he's an American Anglican Esquire, the American Pollock himself, Roger. He has chosen not to be on camera tonight, and that's fine. We respect
Just
that.
reach over. You can wave.
How's it going, guys? Sorry, there's a lot of freaks out there, so I'm not going to show my face to the world, for the time being at least.
Yeah, he's got big plans, and we it's better that he chose to stay a little physically anonymous, so we will respect
Just be thankful I'm here, okay?
that. He is a big fan of the film and a close friend to the BumpStocks family. Thanks for being here, by the way.
Of course.
So for you and all y'all listening, grab a drink, pull up a chair, and join us on the front porch. Tonight we are continuing the Real Killers series by looking at a serial killer that is one of the most unsettling in all of cinema because it feels so possible.
We've touched on Norman Bates. We touched on Hannibal Lecter. This guy creeps me out.
Yeah,
He takes the cake by far.
Yeah.
he is like I said, he's believable. It's almost like he could be real.
Yeah.
You know. Ladies and gentlemen, this one is the one about John Doe of the movie 7. He's not like we started this series. The first one was that sophisticated, gentlemanly cannibal Hannibal Lecter.
He was almost too polite to be a cannibal in my mind.
One
Yeah.
could say that he was a fine young cannibal.
Yeah, exactly. And then we second week we unpacked the fractured psyche of the mama's boy himself, Norman Bates, and now we look into this hyper organized, mission driven zealot, John Doe, from David Fincher's 1995 masterpiece Seven, and John Doe's played by
Kevin
Kevin
Spacey.
Spacey.
Kevin Spacey. That's right. Who's kind of creepy in itself. I mean, he's
Plus, I know kind of what we know about his history and everything. Like he just the person is creepy, but he plays this beautifully.
exactly yeah.
I mean,
He's a phenomenal actor. Wasn't he in was it American
American Beauty.
Beauty? Is that what it was? Yeah. I mean, he's an outstanding actor. He plays
Yeah.
that creepy, offsetting character. So,
Yeah.
and he's very cold in all those roles.
Yeah.
So meticulous in his
Very
characters.
almost like clinical and analytical.
He's cut from the same cloth as John Malkovich.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
That
I can
works.
see that.
Yeah.
So John Doe is a killer who doesn't murder for pleasure or personal trauma, but because he genuinely believes he's delivering divine judgment. So before we go any further, let me share this quote from John Doe. This is towards the end of the movie. He says, "We see a deadly sin on every street corner, in every home, and we tolerate it. Well, not anymore. I'm setting the example. What I've done is going to be puzzled over and studied and followed forever." That philosophy drives everything you're about to hear. So let us embark on this dark journey with all the forensic details, the psychological profiling, the cinematic analysis that you've come to expect from us here. Judgment has been cast. Sins are on full display. The box is open and waiting. So tonight, we're going to open this box. So, as always, we've got our little cheat sheets here to keep us on track.
Well, mainly to keep me on track. I get very, very excited.
Well, there's
and
so much.
I go off on tangents.
Yeah, there's so much to break down. Basically, what it looks like is just a checklist of things to keep us going.
Yeah, we have our little bullet points.
So now
Let's see. Eggs, milk.
Yeah, I don't.
Worcestershire sauce.
This isn't going to be reviewed.
Hey, I'm known for my grocery list.
Zelda's joined us already. Hey, Zelda.
Hey, girl.
Hi, Zelda.
This is going to be a psychological autopsy of one of cinema's most meticulously organized serial killers, John Doe. If you've not seen the movie Seven, it's not for the. There's
Faint
worse
of heart.
movies out there, but it's not for the faint of heart because the murder scenes are pretty graphic.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's not like a slasher gore type scenario.
It's gory, but again, not like your like Scream movies or
Mhm.
Terrifier or anything like that. Like,
But
it's not excessively so.
yeah,
right.
But it's not gory for gory's sake. It's
Yeah.
just crime scenes. So
And they tend to be gory.
yeah, I don't even think you see any of the murders take place. It's all
No.
afterwards with the crime
Yeah.
scenes.
We're following the investigators through this story, basically. So,
Okay.
And,
So-
and realistically, if you don't like murder, why are you even here?
yeah. That's actually a
real.
really good point.
So our focus night, we're going to start with we're going to look at behavioral analysis, forensic psychology, victimology, ritualistic homicide, organized offender characteristics, psychopathy versus mental illness. The victims are 7 victims. Each represent one of the 7 deadly sins. Murder spans months, over a year in one case,
Yeah.
worth of planning. And it culminates in Doe surrendering voluntarily. And we'll get into why. Interesting points is the goal was never escape, and the goal of John Doe was completion of his plan, I guess. So
yeah,
the
he had laid this out very meticulously, and he wanted to finish his tableau, basically.
Right.
So,
let's start with an intro question to kind of get it started. So if this offender existed in real life, what do you think the behavioral analysis unit would have to say about it?
See, I had to include that, the BAU, because that was, again, criminal minds, but that actually is a thing in the FBI, obviously. But I want to touch on something that I have mentioned before, the organized versus disorganized offender, because, we've mentioned it before and everything, like, Ted Bundy, for instance, would be an organized offender versus Richard Trenton Chase, which would be an extremely disorganized offender. And I just kind of wanted to touch on this a little bit because I don't think I've fully explained it before. But in criminal profiling, the organized and disorganized dichotomy is a classification system created by the FBI to categorize violent offenders based on their psychology, their lifestyle, how they leave their crime scenes. It helps them basically discover the offender's traits and kind of helps them predict the next moves. So, like an organized offender, they're very methodical, they're very calculating, they're highly aware of the consequences of their actions. Meaning, like Richard Trenton Chase did not understand that what he was doing was wrong.
Right.
But others do, so they try to hide it. They are typically average to high intelligence. They're socially competent. They can hold down a job. They maintain relationships, and they kind of appear normal and charming, and they're very disarming, and sometimes they're upstanding members of the community. Look at John Wayne Gacy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or BTK.
Exactly. Like, he was a deacon in his church and everything. He was respected. Very, very organized here. So their crime scenes, they're highly planned. Usually they have selected their victims before the crime, so they target specific people. They bring their own weapons and supplies like restraints, all this other stuff, and we'll see this with John Doe coming in later. And they clean up the scene and try to conceal the body, usually to avoid detection. And because they leave very minimal forensic evidence behind, like there's not hair, there's not or any other bodily fluids, no blood. They plan extensively, like they plan for basically every eventuality.
They cover the tracks the best of
Yes, exactly. They're very difficult to catch, and we see them not only like will follow the media coverage of their crimes, but sometimes they'll even show up at crime scenes while it's being investigated. They return to that scene to watch everything unfold. And
or to relive their killing.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, disorganized offenders, obviously, polar opposite here. They act impulsively. They're usually driven by very sudden urges. There's some kind of psychological distress for a lot of them. Like I keep bringing up Richard Chase.
Mm-hmm.
His psychological distress was he felt he needed to consume blood and everything or else he was going to die. So this is this psychological distress, and there's sometimes altered mental states during the crime or preceding the crime. They're below or average intelligence, socially isolated, sexually inexperienced or inhibited, often have a history of mental illness. They can have harsh childhoods with abuse and everything. And sometimes they actually live near the crime scene. Sometimes their victims are people that they know.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the crime scenes are very chaotic in this kind of situation. They lack any kind of planning ahead.
Right.
Again, these are impulsive. These kind of offenders will frequently use like the blitz attacks, like they've surprised somebody. Again, victims of opportunity here is what we're talking about. They're not selected beforehand. The weapon usually is found at the scene, like it's something like either in their home or in their car or whatever. They just find whatever they can use in this moment. They make absolutely no attempts usually to hide the body or conceal evidence. And due to this fact, because they leave so much forensic evidence behind and they're acting so impulsively, they're a lot easier to track down. The random choice of victims is what initially will confuse investigators. But again, the impulsivity of it and the lack of planning, they're the easier ones to follow.
You would think it would be more difficult because a lot of people in law enforcement, if I'm not mistaken, they're trained to look for patterns.
Yeah.
So when you get this level of disorganization, you would think that would actually hinder them more because the lack of a pattern. Whereas if you see somebody who's very organized, like John Doe, for instance, there is a pattern immediately.
There's a strong pattern.
Yeah.
Because you see in the movie that Somerset picks up on this, like this murder, like whoever is doing this, they're not done yet.
Yeah.
And he was going into retirement, like he didn't want to deal with this case. He was asking it to be passed off to somebody else.
Yeah. I'm going to start rolling through some of the images of the characters, the detectives, and Somerset and Wills, all that.
Yeah. But like I said, John Doe easily fits the organized offender. He's extremely intelligent. He's patient. He's methodical. The surveillance that he does before these crimes to like learn these people's habits and everything, that really helps out. He chooses these people very, very specifically. This is a deliberate choice on his part. There's little to no forensic evidence that they can work off of left at the crime scene. He not only anticipates the police investigation, but he plans for it. And like you had kind of touched on, his capture is actually necessary for his fantasy that we're going to touch on. That is absolutely necessary for this to be complete for him. He does use aliases, disguises. We do find his apartment or his home, very, very modest apartment, like bare bones, basically. He just needs a place basically to sleep.
Yeah, and it is a mess, but I'm sure he knows where everything is.
Yeah.
It's an organized mess, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he plans months, and probably he was probably planning these murders for years before he actually started to act on it.
There's one murder that is exactly a year old when they discover it. So he planned for over a year on that one for sure. On the screen, for those who who's watching live and will have YouTube later, there's Detective Somerset, which is
Morgan Freeman,
and then Brad Pitt plays Detective Mills.
Yeah, William Somerset and what, David Mills? Was it? I think his first name was David, but we know them as Somerset and Mills.
Right.
And Somerset is the aging detective that's
he's ready to retire. He's done.
Another thing, a play on this movie Seven, the number seven deadly sins, but Somerset is also 7 days away from retirement. So Mills, which is Brad Pitt's character, comes in to kind of shadow him.
He's been transferred from another district, basically.
To take over once Somerset retires.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Somerset picks up immediately that, hey, this is going to grow into a big case, and he requests to be taken off of it.
Yeah, he was ready to retire.
Mm-hmm.
But like John Doe and everything, these types, planning is just as much a part of fantasy as the actual committing of the crime.
Mm-hmm.
They need control. They control the victims. In this movie, he's not just controlling the victims and their life and death in his hands. He's controlling the detectives. He's controlling the crime scenes, the timeline, even the public narrative. Mm-hmm. And we're going to touch on it later, but he does control the final outcome.
Right. So control is his true addiction. His fantasy cannot be played out in full without it being completely controlled by him.
Yeah. He's planned for everything.
Yeah, his control is exerted over all his victims and the whole tableau of what he's creating here.
Yeah.
Everything he's doing from day one with this is to hit a crescendo at the end, and that's what he's aiming for.
And there's I think even down to like the placement of a victim's finger, because he stages everything.
Yeah,
everything is very, very meticulous on his. And we've touched on psychopathy before, And I have mentioned that what we call a psychopath in psychology is usually somebody with antisocial personality disorder, which means they have a lack of empathy. There's zero remorse. They're highly manipulative, emotionally detached, and I'm not even sure like John Doe here actually feels emotions at all. And like I was telling y'all before we went live, Spacey plays this so beautifully because there's very little emotion even on his face and his mannerisms. His inflection's very deadpan, and even then, with like him giving away like nothing, he adds so much more depth to that character that he actually kind of makes Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt look one-dimensional here.
Can I push back a little bit on that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you're here for.
Among other things, I'm sure. I wouldn't quite say that he's completely that emotionally attached, only because his writing seems to suggest otherwise. Because if
he does have passion, for sure.
Well, true, but what I mean is just that I think he's dead inside because of how society is.
He's kind of so burnt out on it, maybe.
Yes, and that's part of the reason, of course, why he ultimately commits his crimes, because he feels that society has degenerated to such a low point of perdition that this really is the only way that people will be able to have a look at themselves and realize, oh my gosh, what have we become? Because that's his main motive for why he's committing crimes in the first place.
True.
So
maybe the emotional detachment that I see in him is kind of his little defense mechanism for that, so that he doesn't feel the weight of all that.
Well, right, and of course he justifies it too by saying, well, the people deserved it because they were unrepentant sinners.
Right. But yeah, I mean, he's very, very calculated. He's very comfortable with lying. Very grandiose thinking, and that's kind of what you were talking about. Like, he has now kind of assigned himself as God in a way.
Well, he sees himself as a crusader. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Would he be comfortable with lying, or would he even see himself as lying at all?
That's a good point.
I don't know that his psyche thinks he's telling, as the left like to say, his truth. So
right.
I don't even think necessarily he's lying. I mean, because keep in mind, he never actually he never says that he's someone else. He simply just says, "I'm nobody. I'm John Doe."
Mm-hmm.
He just refuses to give his real name identity.
And he may have even given that up for what he was doing. He may have sacrificed his own identity to do this.
Well, he went to some pretty heavy lengths to get rid of that.
Yeah. I would definitely psychologically, and y'all, I'm not a professional, but I read a lot. I would say this is a cluster B personality type. Cluster B personality disorders are like bipolar disorder, antisocial personality disorder, narcissistic personality disorder. It's characterized by dramatic, erratic, and emotional behaviors, and we do see the drama in this. Obviously, the staging and everything. He wants the drama. He wants this whole scene set up. So yeah, for me, that's antisocial personality disorder, what we would call psychopathy today.
Yeah,
he's a pure psychopath for sure. Just a complete and total disregard for the rights, feelings, and safety of others. People with that condition, they break social rules, manipulate others. They show a lack of remorse for their actions, and again, that's what we would normally call a psychopath.
Right. Roger, I know you brought some notes too, so if you got something you want to say or jump in, please feel free to.
I know you took more notes on the Divine Comedy, which I have a bunch on that. So
as far
I'm
as
excited.
Dante's Inferno?
Dante's Inferno is part of the Divine Comedy. So
actually, I took very little notes on
that. Okay. I know you wanted to touch on that, and I got a bunch of notes for us to go into because we're both like into that.
So yeah, don't feel if you want to interject at any point, interject.
Let's say it's a round table thing. Like basically, ignore the camera and the microphones. This is us just hanging out and talking about this movie.
All right. I wanted to bring up another point with regard to obviously the fact of how he gave up his identity. Is how when you actually look at him, like in the scene, for instance, when he's behind the double-sided glass, there's nothing really that strikes him. Like, he's not really someone that you necessarily would point to and say, "Oh yeah, I could pick him out in the street."
Yeah, no, he's very unassuming. He just
Exactly.
looks like a normal guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's bald. He speaks with a monotone demeanor. Went so far as to remove his very fingerprints. And
Yeah,
if you look very closely, as I found out and showed you,
yeah,
when they're investigating his apartment, if you look very closely at one of the drawers that Detective Somerset opens up, you see it's just there for a second, but you see actually a half of a set of dentures, implying that he may have taken out some of his own teeth. That way, he can be recognized via dental records.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
Well, and I wonder about that too because in the victims, like we didn't see like bite marks.
No.
So precaution, like him just thinking ahead so far that he's like 7 steps ahead of everybody else at all times. Like,
He was covering every angle he could think of.
yeah, that's kind of chilling when you think about it because, I mean, he had no desire like Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy liked to bite.
Well, you also have to keep in mind, too, he didn't exactly expect to survive because he wants to die to complete his plan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But more than that, and we're going to touch on that a little bit more later, too, he wanted his tableau and everything to be known.
It's not just that. When he died, he wanted to make sure that his grave can be his corpse could not be identified either.
So you think that's why he might have had his teeth removed for dental records?
Exactly.
That way they couldn't trace it that way?
That way his
Probably,
identity
yeah.
remained anonymous even after he dies.
So fingerprints gone, dental records would be destroyed because his teeth wouldn't match.
Right.
DNA back when this was made wasn't as thorough as it is now to track
So
down
this was
family
what,
members.
95?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. Ask
early
O.J.
90s.
Simpson.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, like I said, he believes that history will remember him, but not only that history will remember him, but that it should. So I think there's
he wants to be his what he done to be remembered.
Yeah, exactly.
Not necessarily
like,
him, but that's why
his
he knows.
message. He was.
Yeah.
This was a promotion of a message throughout this entire movie.
The John Doe identity, I think, was taken because his message is the identity he wanted to remember.
He didn't want his name.
He wanted to say anyone can do this.
Yeah, you can do
that's
this
a good point. Yeah, like I said, him destroying his own identity for the sake of the message,
right,
is very, very telling. And I think that this does kind of show a very quiet narcissism there. Because, I mean, come on. He thinks like he is the chosen to deliver this message, basically. Maybe not necessarily by God, but nobody else is doing it. So why doesn't he step up and do it?
Well, I heard from one video I watched from a YouTuber named Max Dorat. Shout out to his channel, by the way. It's awesome. He made the point that John Doe basically might have reasoned his way into this because of how much he feels for how bad society is.
Right.
In the sense that he figures, well, if I feel this bad about how society is and no one else seems to care, I must have been chosen.
Right.
Therefore, it's my duty to do this.
Let's say he's the one that needs to promote this message out into the world about like this moral and societal decay that he saw. So I don't think he had any genuine faith. I don't think he was delusional at all. We just touched on his justification. He thought that he was, again, it's this fight against moral and societal decay. But I do think, again, the narcissism, there is a high level of that here we see. Even if it isn't necessarily about himself, just the belief that he's the one that needs to do this.
It's interesting you bring up the genuine faith aspect of this. Because for anyone who knows Roman Catholic theology, which if you remember in his apartment, he had a lot of Roman Catholic items, like a rosary.
Right.
Assuming that was the Christian tradition he was part of, he noted towards the end of his death that he himself was guilty of envy. Well, if he's guilty of a sin, he has to go to confession before he dies, otherwise he's dying in willful disobedience to God. Therefore, by their theology, he'd be damning himself to hell.
Right.
So he's sending mixed messages here, is my point.
Let's say it, I mean, at least on his side of it. And we'll get into why he selects the victims that he does later. But if he is guilty of envy, according to Dante's Inferno, I don't think that his punishment met his crime, necessarily. But like you said, the Roman Catholic thing, I don't think he was actually Catholic. I don't think he was really religious at all. But
Not in any true sense.
no,
But
I think that was just kind of the medium that he was using
mhm.
to make this all come to fruition. This
So
was
it was
like,
his lark, basically.
yeah. Again, I don't think he was Christian at all. I don't think he was Catholic. This is just the symbolism that spoke to him the most. And so he just kind of adopted that.
I think he feels like he was above that he is the
Yeah.
right hand of God doing God's work.
Could
So
be.
he didn't count himself as one religion over the other. Catholicism is the most popular Christian religion.
I say it's the largest denomination in Christianity.
And this town, and now we don't get the name of the town, but usually
it's highly implied to be New York, though.
Yeah, very.
Yeah,
that's what I was going to say. Very much so. And these type cities, Christian religion leans heavily in the Catholic direction,
Right.
and just for that kind of representation of that kind of city.
Yeah.
So that would be the kind of Christian religion items that he would use would probably easily lean more Catholic.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying he's Catholic. I don't think John Doe thinks of himself small enough to be a denomination.
I think you're right. I think he sees himself as kind of above that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that his calling is to be the angel of death, basically, and this judge, jury, and executioner for sins on behalf of God Himself.
Right.
So
I can see that.
That's kind of how I feel about it.
And even then, this whole idea that he has of being like this avenging angel for God, his sense of self-preservation, he pushed that to the side. The need to complete this fantasy, the need to complete these murders. Not only is he not afraid to die himself, but his death is part of the completion of this fantasy that he has built.
Yeah. He sees it almost as
it's his mission.
It's a requirement, and once it's fulfilled, that he will be rewarded by it. I don't think he ever comes out and says that, but just me looking at him and thinking about how he acts and the religious aspect that is definitely there.
Yeah.
I don't think he's worried about going to hell per se. I think he thinks my works that I'm doing here on behalf of God is going to get me in.
I don't even think it was on behalf of God. I don't think he believed in any of that. He was just, this was a message of moral and societal decay, and he just latched on to like the religious aspect of it because it gave him a reason.
I think there'd have to be religious reasoning and belief there for it.
He read Thomas Aquinas, like he was reading all these philosophy books, and I think that the Divine Comedy is the one that spoke to him the most.
I would say that you have a point, but the problem is there's so much religious iconography and items at his house.
Well, I think that's just like to fulfill that fantasy. I don't think he actually believes in any of the actual the Christian God. I'll sit here and say I don't think he actually believed any of that. This was just the stuff that he latched onto because it gave his mission meaning and purpose. Like he was able to say this is what it's based on. Because when you think about it, like the moral issues and everything, and I've talked about this with like abortion advocates and everything, and they're like, well, I can be moral without being religious. And I'm like, okay, well, what's that morality based on?
Very good point.
So I don't think that he actually believed in Christianity, whatever denomination, at all. I think this was just the icons. I think this was the whole thing that he could attach it to and say, okay, here's where this morality that I'm opposing or immorality that I'm punishing is coming from.
Regardless of which of us is right, the reality is that the effect is still the same.
Exactly. I mean, he still latched onto this no matter what, and 6 people died. The final victim does not. I want to talk about the journals though, because we were talking about this earlier when you got here. The journals and everything in this house are very very creepy to me because they said what there's over 2,000 of them. The handwriting in there is very very small. These
Yeah.
are just basic black and white composition notebooks. The handwriting is very small, and every page, top to bottom, is covered in handwriting.
Front and back.
And there's like thousands of them.
Mm-hmm.
So this is, to me, that's obsession.
Yeah.
Like that's very very severe obsession.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that he's been at this with this mentality for so much longer than the planning of the murders. I think he was in this mindset before he even started planning any of this.
We don't get a lot of his background,
No.
childhood or nothing. So I wonder, I would, dare to say that he probably had something traumatic happen, that he started this path at a young age.
Yep. And we actually do see that a lot in other serial killers, like especially if there was severe like religious abuse. That might have been something his mind just kind of latched onto, and it stayed throughout his adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
That Dean immediately comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly. So, and obviously he was isolated. This man had no real human connection, like no spouse, no good friends.
At least that we know of.
Yeah, none of that was ever shown in the movie, so I think he was a loner. I think his isolation was probably self-imposed.
Well, he also mentions that later on in the movie about wanting what Mills has. So that speaks
the envy.
So that speaks to him never having that before. So
there was no spouse, there was no family.
I think saying that he was a loner or even to the point of being isolated would make sense.
You had actually mentioned trophy collecting earlier. And I do want to touch on that because that's very, very common with serial killers.
Did he collect trophies? I don't recall.
I think maybe
the photograph.
Well, he had the hand, remember?
Yeah.
In the jar.
I don't remember that part, but
it was in the apartment.
Yeah, when they finally found his apartment and everything.
The apartment, he had the red room where he would. He had all the photos from everything too, so he kept those. I know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the hand of I believe it was the third victim. He decided to retain. He kept it on his bookshelf in a jar.
Okay.
It reminds me of that stupid quote. I have the heart of a young boy. And he paused, and I keep it in a jar on my desk.
Mm-hmm. That's the man who wrote Psycho. I forget his name right now.
Robert Bloch.
Bloch.
Robert Bloch, yeah. Because I had mentioned he has if you have never read the short story Sweets for the Sweet, I think that was him. Go find that one because it has one of the best snap endings of any story I've ever read. I absolutely love that one. But yeah, okay, he's very, very clearly like obsessed. I don't even know how to describe the level of obsession we're seeing here. Isolated, whether that be self-imposed or just because he's awkward. What about that thing on the subway or the bus?
Yeah, it was an excerpt that's read by Detective Somerset when he picks up one of his journals in the apartment. This is the excerpt. I'll read it in my mock Morgan Freeman voice. On the subway today, a man came up to me to start a conversation. He made small talk. A lonely man talking about the weather and other things. I tried to be pleasant and accommodating, but my head hurt from his banality. I almost didn't notice it had happened, but I suddenly threw up all over him. He was not pleased, and I couldn't stop laughing.
I say this man has just vomited all over another human being, and he's laughing about it. But again, that shows you that he thinks that this kind of thing is deserved on these people. Like they've somehow earned it.
Maybe it's also the guy's small talk disgusted him or something.
Now, I mean, I don't like small talk. Small talk makes me uncomfortable. It just does. I don't want to sit around and talk about the weather or whatever else. Like, I don't like it, but I'm not gonna like get physically sick over it, you know. And I'm not. If you can ask him, like I avoid vomiting with every fiber of my being, even if I'm sick or something.
Well,
I'm not going to do this in a public setting onto somebody else. Like,
it could also be argued that because he's just so sick, it seemed to say society, he's decided to project that sickness onto everyone he comes into contact with, or at least subconsciously he does.
I said that's a very good point, and it just manifested physically. But I thought that was a deer. It's a rabbit. Never mind.
What a disappointment.
I don't know. It's still a bunny. Okay, where am I at? See, this is why I need notes. Okay, so we've
chronic rumination.
Yeah, I mean, he's constantly thinking about these things. His brain never shuts off. I mean, this is just going nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
You know me, when I get in like one of those anxiety spirals, like my brain just cannot shut off. And I think that that's kind of maybe what we're seeing a little bit of here, but to a more extreme degree. Because even in my worst anxiety, like I've never thought about hurting myself or anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Ever. Like it's just, even that thought causes a little bit of anxiety right now. But he's building this internal fantasy world because of his isolation and everything. He has no outlet for any of this. He has nobody to talk to. And again, maybe that's intentional on his part. Maybe it's not. We don't know. We don't get a lot of his background here. But I think the journals are the reinforcement of that ideology, because we see this happen with people who create like manifestos and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the shooter that shot up the Presbyterian school in Nashville immediately comes to mind.
Yeah, exactly. And again, even that manifesto was a reinforcement of that girl's internal struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she thought that writing it down, I guess, made it valid in a way. So
well,
maybe
saying I was hurt, therefore I have the right to hurt others.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and I really, really wish that we could have had some kind of like prequel or something to this, because I would love to see like what they come up with for John Doe's childhood, especially.
Yes, but on the other hand, that would get rid of the mystery that makes him so terrifying.
That's true. It's the unknown.
So we got obsession, isolation, chronic rumination, internal fantasy world, and a reinforcement of ideology. You sure this guy just ain't a leftist troll?
I can think of one that he reminds me of.
No, I think of every darn one of them out there right now online.
I can think of one in particular.
It is a good thing Reddit did not exist in 1995.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Reddit is like a cesspool for these people. My goodness. So yeah, we talked about like the real offenders. There's diaries or manifestos or something. There's some kind of record of what they're doing. They collect trophies. And there's this like fantasy world that they are building around their crimes, basically. And okay, so now that we know this, or we assume, we're all just kind of speculating here, because there's very little about this character in the movie. So I'm just speculating based on real cases and real criminology. So what were you going to say?
I'll save it for later.
John Doe in this situation, he actually understands the investigators, the police. He understands them. He anticipates all the search warrants. He anticipates how they're going to process the crime scene. And part of what he had in his apartment, remember, were the books about like crime scene forensics and stuff like that.
Makes me wonder if he used to be a cop.
That would be an interesting spin on that, for sure. Because, I mean, we have seen people that were cops or FBI agents or somewhere connected to law enforcement. They already know what to look for because that's their job.
Right.
So that would actually be really interesting.
It would also help to explain why he feels so jaded with society.
I can think, other than like a child psychologist, like, yeah, being a cop, there's a reason I couldn't do these jobs. Like, I'm not cut out for it. I understand my limits and my weaknesses. I couldn't do it because the first time I get a case with a kid, all bets are off. I couldn't do it. But yeah, I mean, he's not even just anticipating like the forensic aspect of it and search warrants and all this kind of stuff. He's actually anticipating these two specific investigators' behavior. Like Miller at the end, and we're going to touch on that. Doe could not have done what he did with Somerset. He couldn't have done it. Because, I mean, you even see towards the end, Somerset is the one trying to stop it all because he realizes what's happening. He's anticipating media coverage, which again, a lot of them like follow the media. They show back up to the crime scenes. And I do think that, like you asked before, would this offender exist?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, we have seen this type exist. Maybe not to this level, because this, I mean, he's almost a perfectionist when it comes to it, and we don't see that in like the real life cases.
He also seems to have a mentality that he wants lasting mythology, which many serial killers most certainly have wanted.
He wants the historical record to remember him, basically.
Yeah, I mean, take out all the religious imagery, and he's basically Zodiac.
Okay, that would fit. That would be one that I think we could say was dang near perfect, because we don't know who he is, even to this day.
Yep, he's still anonymous.
Yeah. I mean, that's amazing to me, and not like amazing isn't a good thing. It's amazing to me that we still have no idea. Like, you kind of almost have to respect it in a way. It was, and I think even at the 70s was probably helpful, because we didn't have like the DNA and the forensic tools that we have now in 2026. So, there, the dogs are scratching. Yeah. Their feet hit the floor, and it sounds like knocking.
That's even coming through on the headphones.
Is it? But yeah, okay, extraordinary luck I have here in the notes. I think that would be like Zodiac, like, because I don't think that he was necessarily targeting people specifically or anything. He was very impulsive. He just walked up on cars and people out at the lake and everything and just killed them.
Talking about Zodiac?
Yeah. Because that's one that was almost perfect, because we still don't know who it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to touch on, like, okay, John Doe, we're going back to him. He is an exaggerated version, but psychologically grounded version of people we have seen in real life. And like you said, he affects us that much because it's so plausible. He's so realistic.
Right.
But...
And he's a good-looking guy. I like his haircut.
You let the crumb down. Go figure.
He's one of those characters that, like you said, he's almost likable in a way, as far as...
I say, well, maybe not likable, but you respect him in a way.
If I was at a bar anywhere with the typical bar crew and nightlife people around, and I ran into this guy at the bar, I'd sit and talk to him before anybody else.
I actually think I would too.
Because of his demeanor, the monotone type talk he had, his intelligence. I would sit with him before.
This may seem weird to compare you to this, but I think that first night at the bar, he was working security, I was bartending. But that's what I was drawn to. Like, it was pure chaos that night. I mean, literally, like, standing room only, could barely move through the crowd, that crowded. And so my anxiety is, like, getting on up there. And I latch on to him. I do not know this man from Adam. But there was just something about him. I was like, okay, he's gonna be, like, this, like, solid foundation here that I can just, like, come. I even hid behind him at one point just to take a breath. But yeah, like, that kind of demeanor, that very calm in the midst of chaos, that's appealing to a lot of people.
Now we got Jason on the chat line here. He said Seven's one of my favorites, and I agree. Roger here with us. You said that's one of your favorite movies as well. Great movie for sure. And we were speaking on how John Doe is just comes across as a normal guy, right?
Yeah.
Jason says that John Doe's described as one of the best tenants his landlord ever had. Always paid his rent on time. All that kind of stuff. So,
that was the sloth murder, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was John Doe taking care of all
for
that.
sure. But
that just goes to show that his meticulous nature, like, he planned this out in advance. That guy strapped to the bed for a year and then he made sure. I mean, John Doe went in and out to take those photos.
Yep.
He made sure the
Yeah,
guy
there
stayed
were
alive.
photos documenting like
He
when he
made
first
sure-
trapped him,
and
and
made sure the guy's rent was paid. And he had to have some interactions with
the
the
other
people in those
tenants.
buildings going in and out. So that landlord probably thought John Doe was the tenant.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Because somebody has to pay it.
Do y'all remember, like, in that apartment with the sloth victim, the room right before they walked into the bedroom and they find this man, there's car air fresheners hanging up all over the ceiling.
Hundreds and hundreds of
Well,
green
because
pine
this
trees.
man, like, he's now confined to a bed for over a year.
It's to disguise from the smell, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
Infuriating.
This man can't shower. He can't clean
He couldn't
himself.
get up to go use the bathroom. or
Exactly.
anything.
Like, he wasn't dead, so it's not decomposition. But my God, that smell
Just
had
the
to be
filth of it.
unbearable. Like like you see, I think it was Brad Pitt that actually gagged when they opened the door and like whipped the sheet back because the smell hit him.
Yeah, I think so. But I know the cops that was helping break into the place.
Their little like SWAT crew, basically.
Their SWAT crew guys did the same thing. I think one of them actually got sick or something. So.
Yeah,
Look,
because that was strong.
To this week, we started an hour early, so we're about to take a top of the hour break for a few minutes. I got a couple of commercials and whatnot, and you can get a refill on your drink. Right. So everybody out there, if you need to run to the bathroom, you get a refill, top off your drink, whatever. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
We're getting into the good stuff here soon.
Yeah, when we come back, we're going to start looking more into the actual cases themselves and some of the
Divine Comedy, which is the one I'm very, very excited about.
So we're going to take, again, just a few minutes. We'll be right back. We'll see you soon.
Okay, we on pause?
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com ad council.
All right, welcome back. It is a little after 7 p.m. Central Time now. We needed to get a few little refills and stretch our legs for a minute, and we are back now, ready to roll into the second hour of tonight's special edition because we started early. And
we started early, and we have a special guest.
And we do have a special guest, Roger, and. Again, thanks for joining us. He said he's having a good time, even though it's hot on the porch, but it's bearable.
Oh, it's better now.
It's better now.
That sun starts to go down, and it becomes fun.
So, at the break, we had talked about how John Doe was. We kind of compared him to real life serial killers and his intelligence and his knowledge around forensics and police
some of those
work.
Parallels there.
So I think we're going to start moving more into his MO and some of the actual cases itself that's in the movie. And again, the movie is Seven from 1995, so it's easy to find. Go
it's
watch it.
It's for free on Tubi, so
yeah, go watch it if you can. It is a little graphic as far, especially the murder scenes go. It's nothing like slasher style, but it is some
give
pretty.
That disclaimer because you are going to be posting.
It is some pretty graphic images of crime scenes, which we will be showing here during this hour and probably the third hour as well.
And especially when we get into lust, that's the one that gets me. But I'm a woman, so.
Well, the pictures I got from that's not too bad, but so just. A little disclaimer, like you said, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, the good news is on the replays for the podcast on Spotify.
All the apps and everything, yeah. Other than YouTube. YouTube is the one that will have the video with. All the rest of them is audio.
Yeah, all the replays on Podcast Nations and all the podcast players, of course, is audio. YouTube will have these images popped up, and of course, if you're watching it live, you'll see them here as well.
Also, spoilers for a movie that came out 31 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, Tubi has it for free, but we are going to be talking right up until the very end of this movie, so yes, spoilers are coming.
Yeah, this entire series that we're doing about real killers will have spoilers.
Yes.
I think most of them's pretty older movies.
Yeah.
We will be talking about one that came out just last year,
Recently.
or either
Ooh.
the first
You'll
half
love
of this
that
year.
one. Yeah.
But we'll talk about that when we get there and give you some warn you that spoilers will be coming to that movie as well. But it'll be on down the line. But this is Front Porch Forensics. I'm BumpStock Ken.
BumpStock Barbie, and we have Roger.
Do you want to
Yo.
introduce yourself as where you can be found, or still anonymous?
You can follow me on Twitter at American Pollock. Just
Okay.
I'll stick with that.
At American Pollock. Roger's a good friend of ours. He was in the neighborhood and came out to hang out with us today. And
My unofficially adopted little brother.
it turns out that Seven is one of his favorite movies. So we asked if he'd be interested in sitting in with us. And yes, with the caveat of not being on camera.
Yeah.
And we respect that. So he is not on camera. You get to look at me and my beautiful wife and just know that he is a handsome lad himself. And y'all are missing out. So
whatever image you conjure up in your mind, that's me.
There you
go with it.
That's it. All right. So where would you like to pick up from?
We're going into what you said, MO versus signature. MO is modus operandi, or just method of operation.
Mm-hmm.
That's very different than a signature when we talk about like serial killings, especially. It's I say the MO is usually, again, their method. So whatever they're doing to avoid detection, usually successfully complete the murder.
Now his MO would be unique because when I think MO, they seem to follow a pattern of the same kind of like BTK,
Bind, torture, and kill. He did that with every single murder.
One. Another great one with which we will touch later on, cinematic serial killer, is the Trinity Killer that we will talk about later.
He's very similar actually to John Doe with the religious aspect
but his MO
of it.
is a 3-part murder system, but he follows it every time.
Yes.
So when I think of an MO, I think that in my mind, I immediately think that it should be the same every time to show that pattern.
Usually it would be.
But with him, his MO would be more of a what would be the grandeur of it, like the show of it. Would that be?
No, his method of operation depended on the sin that he was punishing them for.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But because each sin was different, and therefore the punishment needed to match the sin. The fact that he stuck to that.
That
pattern,
would be the signature.
A signature.
The MO, again, method of operation.
Mm-hmm.
So, because, gluttony, and we can actually start talking about that if you want to. The differences in the method of killing for each one,
right.
They differed from.
So he does it.
Each individual murder, he did not murder them the same way.
So John Doe technically doesn't have an MO then.
No, not really. He has a signature.
That's what I was saying.
And we'll go through all that, and we'll touch on the signature for each. But I know you've got the better notes on each.
So he's a serial killer that has a signature that
the signature is what he absolutely needs. That is his psychological compulsion.
Right.
That has to be at every crime. That signature.
Instead of an MO, like I have to tie them up in a certain way, and I have to do this a certain way. I have to punish them and serve justice in a certain way, in his mind, to cast judgment upon these people,
right,
in a way that matches their sin.
Yeah, his method of operation was the punishment must fit the crime. That was his method of operation.
Gotcha.
So that means that the way he killed these people was different each time.
Gotcha.
But the signature was the fact that this is a punishment for a crime.
Now that's what I was trying to work out in my mind, how MO and signature would work.
They are different things in forensic psychology.
Mm-hmm.
But I know in the movie, gluttony was the first one
Do we want
that
to
they
start
encountered.
with the photos?
Yeah, we can put, warning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're going to start with these crime scene photos. Obviously, for y'all all out there, this is a cinematic made movie, so these are not real crime scenes. It's obviously,
I mean, they are
Yeah.
real people, but they're actors. Director yelled cut. They all got up there fine.
Yeah.
So,
But Gluttony was the first one in the movie that we see.
correct. We don't actually know the man's identity in this case. He's just random fat man. So for the sake of for the sake of consistency, let's just name him Matt Foley. All right. So Matt Foley is kidnapped by John Doe and is forced to engorge himself with enormous amounts of pasta. If I recall correctly.
Spaghetti, specifically.
Appetizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, he is forced to engorge himself repeatedly with food in order to symbolize what he has become by being a glutton, because he was already
By
fat in the
being
first place.
morbidly obese, that was his sin, was gluttony.
Yes. And in his case, basically, Doe did this with the intention that he would eat himself to death.
And I love it because we were talking about this earlier. The coroner, when he's doing the autopsy and everything, and they're coming in like to learn more about this man's death, he said, like, they asked, like, okay, so he ate himself to death, and the coroner says, well, yes and no, because in the movie he does, like, even John Doe has put a bucket next to this man so he can purge as he's eating and everything, but this man has eaten so much that his stomach has stretched to such a severe extreme that it actually does start to come apart inside him. So he's internally bleeding at this point. But they do find a contact wound on his head from the muzzle of a gun. So I guess because the internal bleeding wasn't killing him fast enough, John Doe decided, okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and end this. But yes, he made him eat until his stomach and his insides, like, literally were starting to come apart.
Yes, and it should be noted that the Matt Foley had been dead evidently for quite some time, given that he was at least decently decomposed by the time that the detectives got there.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see in the photo, like, the gray pallor of the skin, all that kind of stuff. It was not a pretty scene.
Yeah,
I mean, none of these are pretty scenes, but still.
Suffice it to say, it was spaghetti with human meat sauce.
Yeah.
Ugh.
What I found interesting is
It's going to be a minute before I can eat spaghetti.
it goes to show the difference in society from 1995 to now, because now I see people bigger than this guy walking around Walmart now.
Yeah.
With EBT, by the way.
Yeah.
Or they're riding on those scooters, and I don't know how
yeah.
those scooters are making it.
It should also be noted too that the first real indication showing John Doe's philosophical reasons for why he's doing this is actually written on the refrigerator. We see a line directly from John Milton's epic poem Paradise Lost.
Mm-hmm.
Quote is, long is the way and hard that out of hell leads up to life. Which gives us our first indication that these
murders have meaning.
Yes.
Yeah, it was actually stacked behind the refrigerator, and this goes to show how John Doe, how thorough he is and how smart he is.
He moved the refrigerator.
He had the guy, what do you call him, Matt Foley?
Matt Foley.
He had Matt Foley. He
also, pros if you get that reference, by the
way. He force fed him scraps of the linoleum floor. You remember?
They found plastic
inside
in his stomach
during the autopsy. So, Morgan Freeman's character, he goes back to the house, notices the linoleum was torn at the refrigerator, so he pulls the refrigerator out, and then he finds the gluttony
on
and
the
all
wall,
that stuff.
yeah, behind the
refrigerator. So he was leaving clues that only a smart, worthy detective would find.
Yep.
To track him down.
Like I said,
just like the Riddler.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, like, I kind of wonder what y'all think about this. Do you think that he decided to do all this because he knew that Somerset was going to be retiring soon? And he wanted Somerset to catch this case and everything? It would go to his meticulous nature.
The problem is we don't have any facts to confirm.
No, we don't, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it would be speculation. But to me, I'm like, okay, this is the detective he chose for this. And so he got all this in under the wire knowing that, okay, you caught the first one, so you're just going to be stuck with this until it plays out.
It's fair to say that that's entirely within the realm of possibility.
Yeah. Like I said, that's a pure speculation on my part, but it makes sense. But yeah, this is the signature that we're getting into. Again, the other victims did not die by the same methods, which would be the MO.
Right.
The signature never changes. This is that psychological need that he has, and that includes incorporating the 7 deadly sins, all the religious symbolism that goes with it, elaborate staging. I mean, he, like, this Matt Foley and everything, he wanted him to be found just like that. Specifically in that position, everything. This was forced participation. Like, this man obviously didn't agree to eat until his stomach burst.
And even if he did, it wouldn't be legal.
No. The handwritten message behind the refrigerator. Again, we're going back to like the religious symbolism, the biblical references. This was a moral lesson that he was teaching. That is the signature. So these never change. And without this extremely specific signature, John Doe's just another murderer.
Right.
Like, there's nothing special about him. There's nothing that makes him stand out. And like I said, every crime scene is ceremonial in its own way. The victims have now, they're not people anymore. They've become symbols of something. Highly choreographed scenes. Like, this man, I don't know if it's speculation, but I don't know if he died like face down and everything, but with a gunshot wound to the head, probably. But again, very careful positioning here. This required long-term preparation on John Doe's part. This was emotional theater that he was giving the investigators.
I thought it was just the impact wound, like he was pushing the barrel into his head so hard. I didn't think he shot him.
But they found the bullet wound. There's a contact wound.
Yeah,
because you only.
He didn't say bullet wound. He said
No,
contact.
bullets make contact.
Yeah. I always took that he was just forcing the gun, like pushing it into him, making him eat.
You only get like that kind of contact wound and everything with gunpowder. So the gun had to be fired. Well, that's why the coroner said, well, did he die of like eating himself to death, the stomach burst? He said, well, yes and no. He was hemorrhaging internally. Like, his stomach and everything had burst, but it was the bullet wound. It was the shot to the head that killed him.
So Jason makes a point here. I'll put it on screen. Says, talking about certainly possible, what we was talking about here. He was supposedly a crime scene reporter, so he could likely have known about Somerset. You remember, he shows up taking pictures, and he actually gets that picture on the stairs of we later see in his dark room.
I think Somerset was a target as well.
So do you think that was like a one-time thing to be there on site and he just pretended to be, or could he have actually been a...
If he was a crime scene reporter and everything, he knew the intellect and everything of Somerset. I think Somerset, nothing this man does is unintentional.
That's what I'm saying, but like you said, he could have, if he was a crime scene reporter for his day job, because he had to have a job to pay for this kind of stuff.
Right.
That would put him in contact. He would know Somerset and the way he thinks, and that he was the one about to retire. So it kind of points that direction.
Like I said, it makes perfect sense.
And he did show up.
We don't ever know it for sure, but that's my gut instinct.
He did show up at, was it Sloth, or it was Sloth where he was taking pictures, trying to get in to take pictures. And Mills ran him off.
Chased him and got like beat up, and he stood over him and then just walked away. Like, Mills was chasing him.
Well,
but yeah, I mean, nothing that John Doe does in here, this is not impulsive violence. This is a performance on his part.
It'll be okay if we move on to greed.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So, greed in this case, the victim of greed is a wealthy attorney by the name of Eli Gould, who evidently made quite a bit of money off of defending murderers, rapists, and at least a lot of very wealthy criminal defendants. who could afford him.
Yeah.
And basically, John Doe traps him and forces him to cut away, quote, a pound of flesh in return for being let go. And this is directly a reference to Shakespeare's The Merchant of Venice, where the character Shylock, in return for his exorbitant interest rates, he gives his client, says, if you can't pay me, you owe me a pound of flesh.
Right.
And, well, obviously, Doe takes this a bit literally.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Not a bit. I mean,
and because of how much flesh he cuts off, he dies from blood loss.
Yeah, I mean, they even have a set of scales there
mhm.
to guarantee it's a pound.
Yeah, they find actually a pound, no more, no less, is what Somerset says in the scale. So again, nothing this man does is impulsive. This is a performance. This is very theatric. These victims are selected because they represent an idea. They're not personal enemies of John Doe. They're not people he personally knows or anything. They're symbols of that moral decay, and the victims in these murders and everything, they lose their identity. They're not these people anymore. They represent something.
Right.
Again, we've got the 7 deadly sins. We've got gluttony, greed, lust, sloth, envy, wrath, and pride. And we do see with the quotes that are being left behind, like the pound of flesh and everything, this man is studying, he's a philosophy. They mentioned Thomas Aquinas too. Like,
No, actually, there's another interesting person that he's read. If you look on his bookshelf, Marquis de Sade.
oh, that is that's very disturbing.
Yes, it is.
I would not recommend that to people. I've actually seen it. Some public libraries still carry it and everything. You can't check it out or anything, but it's in like more the reference section, and you can go sit down and like look it over and everything. And growing up, I was very curious. I'm no longer curious about that book.
Well, I mean, Marquis de Sade wrote several books.
Yeah, but this one in particular is like
20 Days of Sodom.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
It was bad.
It's safe to say there's a reason why in France he was in prison for quite a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, that he made that very, very clear.
Abundantly so.
But yeah, I mean, we're seeing now this dehumanization just in general, you know? These people are no longer people. They're no longer humans. They're a message. They're a symbol now. So now, this is my favorite part that we're going to talk about, especially because we're getting into the Divine Comedy, because that was where Dante's Inferno is where the 7 deadly sins basically originates, and heavily like
do we
Catholic.
want to cover all the sins and then go into Dante's Inferno, or we've got 2 of them down, but
Yeah.
Yeah, we still got at least all the way up to Pride, and then of course the very
Yeah.
last two.
yeah, we'll
think
save the
I-
last 2 till the end, but we can hit the
Yeah.
ones that we have crime
I
scenes
think
for.
I was about to say, I think I'm just avoiding the lust one. As a woman, like that one's very, very rough.
Well, let's see, sloth would be next in the list according to the movie.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then the last is after that.
Because again, we're not going by the 7 deadly sins in
In
any kind
order,
of biblical
yeah.
order. We're
Yeah.
just by the movies the order we're going in.
See, this is why he's here, just to keep me on track.
So we just done greed, and then
Now we have Sloth.
gluttony. No, gluttony and
Gluttony
greed.
was the first.
Now we do.
Greed
now we're
was
moving
the
on to
next
sloth.
one. So
I'm just making sure which ones I'll get ready to pull up.
Yeah, so Sloth is a fellow by the name of Theodore Victor Allen.
Sloth to me is rough visually.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The guy's basically a living corpse.
Mm-hmm.
basically, like, no, he is. My gosh.
So he's a drug dealer and pedophile, and is found bound to his bed in an apartment that evidently John Doe had been renting for keeping him.
I say that was
hostage.
Jason's comments about him being a good tenant, always paid his rent on time,
Very quiet guy,
And-
though.
and the car air fresheners in the adjoining room.
He's kept barely alive and injected with copious amounts of drugs and other medications. And I believe he even had tubes injected into his men's parts.
Hmm.
And And by the time police find him, he is a living corpse. And essentially,
They actually think he's dead at the time. Like, they knock down all the doors and everything. Nobody is.
right until he gasps.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
whip the sheet off and everything, and everybody starts gagging because of the smell. And they lean in like, oh yeah, he's dead and everything. And this man takes a breath, and everybody like loses their mind. But I mean, which I would.
It's interesting too how the police are led to Alan's apartment because his fingerprints were found at the scene of the crime.
Yeah.
It was because Doe had cut off his hand
Mm-hmm.
in order to plant his fingerprints.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's right.
he leaves the fingerprint
And a
note behind.
message.
It was on greed
Yeah.
because the wife finds it. Well, the wife noticed a picture hung upside down, and behind the picture, he had used Alan's
Alan's
Yes,
fingerprints.
sloth.
hmm
He had used his hand that he had cut off so they could write it out in blood, well, with fingerprints on the wall.
And
They
because
Do
said
he
you
was,
remember? Help me.
Help
was
me
the
is what he
message?
said.
Yeah.
and because he was a convicted felon,
It was obviously in the system, so that's how
Well,
they found
and actually, Alan and Greed were connected. Greed, what was his name? Eli Gold or
Eli
Gold?
Gould.
He was actually the attorney that represented Alan.
out
That's how they
young-
found it, because they thought he was the perpetrator of this. Like, okay, well, this was one of his clients and everything.
Which is what they're made to think at first.
Exactly.
And that's
So
another.
that's what sent them to his apartment, the one that was in his name.
And that goes to show another thing about leaving the clues, because the only way they found it is forcing the wife to get involved to find something that was wrong.
With the room, like,
With
do
the
you notice
room.
anything missing, anything
So
added?
by doing that, he actually tortures the wife, making her study these photos, these crime scene photos of her husband, until
But say
she
she
noticed
is
something wrong.
sobbing this entire time. Like, I don't think I'd be able to even do it.
Mm-mm.
I don't know that I'd be able to look at those photos and even comprehend anything that might be missing in the room, because these are their crime scene photos. Her
Yeah.
husband is dead in the floor. Like, you see them, they cover up his body with like Post-it notes, so she doesn't
Mhm.
have to look at that at least. But still,
But they find the clue behind the upside down painting.
yeah, she
That's
says,
what
"Wait,
leads them-
that." Yeah, she's like, "Wait, that painting is upside down."
That's what leads them to sloth.
It should be noted too that Alan being tortured at those hands has basically destroyed his psyche completely.
Yeah.
Up to the point that he even tried to commit suicide by chewing off his own tongue.
Mm-hmm.
See, okay, was that suicide, or was that just like maybe him like trying to eat something? Because I don't think he, other than like IV foods and everything, maybe because he kept him there for a year. Like, the boy's got to eat something.
Well, his lips had been chewed off as well.
So that's what I'm wondering. Like, I mean, is he doing this on purpose to try and get some kind of food?
I think he's just lost his mind's completely broken.
I truly think he was trying to commit suicide. He
Trying
wanted
to
get
chew
out-
it off
He
and
wanted to get
swallow
out of
it,
this.
choke on it. Yeah,
Yeah, he wanted to get out of this state.
could be.
I say it all makes sense, but I mean, that picture is just awful. Like, again, guys, this was a fairly graphic movie, but it to me, that level of depravity really goes to show you what kind of person John Doe actually is. Like, that he's willing to make these people, that one in particular, the rest of them died somewhat quickly compared to that.
Right, this guy was on a bed for an entire year.
Yeah. And there were pictures, like almost daily photos from like the very first photo when John Doe got him, very first photo, to like one that was taken like a week before they found him. Because I think he dated them all, didn't he?
I want to say that.
I think so. But they were like flipping through these like Polaroid shots and everything. And the last one was, he looked healthy for a drug addict anyway. But you could tell he was not a corpse. So, I mean, yeah, this is just, these fantasies are not just religious fantasies. The violence is part of them.
Mhm.
And
The violence would be the punishment phase of his fantasy, of his.
the we'll get into that when we start talking about the Dante's Inferno for sure.
Should we move on to Lust?
Yeah, let's get it out of the way because I don't like that one.
All right. So Lust is it technically involves three people in this case.
Mm-hmm.
In that Doe kidnaps a married man actually, from a sex club, and forces him at gunpoint to put on a leather bladed strap on and rape a prostitute.
And okay, when you actually watch that scene and everything of him like in the interrogation room, this man is broken himself. Like that, I mean, he's like, he told me to put this on, he told me to rape her, and he's like losing his mind at this point, reliving it. He was like, his gun was in my throat. I had to do it. In order for himself to survive, he had to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And like I actually do, I felt so much sympathy for that man in that scene. Because he is there. I don't think that there's any kind of psychiatrist that's going to fix that level of trauma at all. It was awful, but I don't know. Is that the first picture you put up? Because you do have another picture, and as a woman, it is something that I want to touch on. Because not only like is just rape itself such a horrific violation, but then this strap on that you talked about, it has a blade on it, and he is with a gun in his mouth commanded to rape this woman with that. Rape, again, it bothers me.
It's really Doe doing the raping by proxy, because the guy obviously doesn't want to do this.
Exactly. He's doing it because he's got a gun in his mouth, and he is traumatized beyond all belief because of it. But I mean, rape in general, like, and maybe not even just for women, but this is like the most intimate violation you can do to somebody.
Yeah.
Like the most like sensitive parts of their anatomy too. And for a woman, like I'm trying to piece that together in my mind what it would feel like going through that, and I can't bring myself to even fathom what she went through before she died. But I mean, it's just, to me that one may be the most brutal of all the murders.
Just think about it. Every single time that he was humping her, he was destroying her insides.
Yeah.
It's really hard to even fathom like just how horrendous it is.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a quick death.
No,
either.
it wouldn't.
No.
It's going to last. I mean, yeah, there's arteries and everything that we have down there and everything. So at least if he nicked one of those, it might have been over quick, but we don't know that. But we have to imagine this woman went through something unimaginable before she died.
I imagine since John Doe, I think, was punishing the guy more. The woman was just a tool.
He was the married man. It was lust that was being punished.
I imagine that even once she passed, he didn't tell him, "Okay, you can stop now."
I think
he went
wanted
until
to break that
he
man.
decided that he was done.
Yeah. What's a little bit of necrophilia on top, right?
Yeah. But yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense that he would be the target of the punishment, and now he has to live with this.
Mm-hmm.
If he didn't, I mean, we don't know anything about this guy like after this interview scene. We never see him again. And yes, Jason, Bone Collector. If you haven't seen it, he's the killer in that one.
Yeah, it says fun fact: the Lust guy was the killer in the Denzel Washington movie, The Bone Collector.
Angelina Jolie was in that one too. He was Denzel. Denzel was like a paraplegic, quadriplegic, whatever it is.
Quadriplegic, I believe.
Quadriplegic.
He was bedbound.
Yeah, like he couldn't move arms or anything, like neck down, he was paralyzed. So quadriplegic, you think?
Yeah.
Because that's quad 4, so none of those.
I think he still had some limited movement, like for his computer.
Oh yeah, he had the finger. Yeah, he could move his fingers.
Yeah, but very, very limited.
Yeah.
He would be
that's another phenomenal movie. That's another great movie, and yes, he was Denzel's like home doctor in that one, basically.
I believe that's right.
Yeah, but like Jason said again, to the least amount, this was very savage and barbaric. The Lust killing.
Yeah, I think to me that's the worst one But again, I'm a woman, so there's that part of my brain that's trying to even imagine that, and I can't bring myself to do
No,
it.
you're a sensible human being. That's why it's so horrible. Don't have you being a woman, yes, that matters, but any sensible, right thinking human
Yeah,
would realize that this is the
of
most
course, but
barbaric
I
and
mean, y'all,
terrible.
both of you sitting here right now have no idea of like even what women parts feel like for the woman, like just in general, other than what you can experience yourself during any kind of sexual act or something. But okay, I've even had like the cervical exams and everything. Those are really uncomfortable and painful, and they're just using like a cotton swab.
Right.
So I see like that apparatus that he was forced to wear, and my brain just doesn't even want to touch it. Oh, you bringing it back up? Okay. Yeah, I just no. There's absolutely every part of me like draws up at that.
You're controlling the speed. If you want to move on, move on.
Yes, we're going to move on.
All right, on to Pride. So this is a fashion model named Rachel Spade, who Doe evidently goes into her apartment and tortures her, literally cutting off her nose to spite her face. And what's interesting with her is that he doesn't directly kill her.
No.
In the sense that he gives her a choice, basically between calling for help and thus living with her permanent disfigurement, or he gives her the option to overdose on sleeping pills, which she chooses the latter.
Yeah, pride and vanity, I think, is kind of another word for that particular sin, because it goes to ego and everything.
Right.
And she decided that because she's a fashion model, like she's made a living off of her looks. Now that's taken away from her, and she didn't want to live anymore.
Which is precisely the point that Doe is making.
Exactly.
Saying that this woman was so superficial that she just
Yeah.
there are no redeeming qualities about her, because if she's not a supermodel, she's no one.
Yeah.
Which even she would admit, hence why she commits suicide.
But I say that was the exact precise message he was sending with that one. Yeah, which one do we have? That was we have we did yeah.
Pride.
But I say then we can go into Dante now, because I want to touch on the last two at the end for sure.
All right.
Sorry about that. I didn't have any pride pictures. I missed that. Oh well. It was just the only image I had was her laying in the bed with pride wrote on the wall anyway. So.
Right. So yeah,
right,
this is kind of what we see with these kind of violent offenders. They almost never see themselves as the villain. John Doe did not see himself as a villain here. Like, he was the hero, he was the avenger, he was the prophet, martyr, a righteous judge.
Mm-hmm.
That's how he saw himself. He's not a monster in his own mind. He's the narrator. He's God in his own mind, and he's casting judgment on the rest of humanity. That's what he's doing here. And I know you had, you were talking about the Inferno, which I read it like back in high school and everything. It's very difficult to read, actually. Like, it's not an easy book to read.
Oh, it was
the
written...
Divine Comedy is what it is, but Dante's Inferno is like within it, I guess.
Well, yeah, Dante's Inferno is the first portion of the Divine Comedy. Basically, it's divided into three parts: Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Hell, Purgatory, and Paradise.
Right.
And basically,
again, very Catholic heavy on this, but I guess Dante at that time would have been Catholic, or would have been.
Yeah, back at that time,
that culture would have been predominantly.
Back at that time, Catholicism was just Western Christianity.
Right.
So, if I recall correctly, Roman Catholicism did not quite have a fully fleshed out theology regarding the afterlife itself, but it was actually this work, and I believe Thomas Aquinas later, that kind of solidified the three different states.
Right.
So, basically, Inferno is all about Dante writing from the first person, going into hell, being led by the famous Roman poet Virgil.
Right.
And they travail throughout the different levels of hell, starting first. Get the exact name of the first circle, but basically it's the people who were righteous pagans. So he sees some Greek
Yeah.
philosophers there like
But
Plato.
say you start out at like the lowest level of sin you can do, and then it increasingly gets worse and worse as you go through each level.
Correct.
But yeah, so
And the
Dante's
punishments get worse as well.
Yeah,
with
the
every level.
punishment fits the crime. So Dante is descending through hell at this point through these different levels.
Yeah,
Each level, like you said, represents a different sin. I don't. How do you even pronounce that? Contrapasso or
Contrapasso. Yes.
and like that. That's actually very interesting here forensically, because again, in Dante, the punishment has to fit the crime. So the proud are humbled, the wrathful drown in their anger, the gluttonous wallow in filth, all that kind of stuff. John Doe is now copying this structure.
Which, fun fact, if you want to know what happened to Caiaphas, one of the Pharisees who crucified Christ, in the Inferno, he's being perpetually crucified. Pain and
Okay.
all.
And what we know about crucifixion, that's not an easy death either. Like,
Well, in his case, it's eternal, so imagine that.
yeah. Like, just repeated through eternity. Like, it never ends.
Yeah, you're just perpetually in pain and suffocating.
Yeah. Oh, that's awful.
Well,
So,
but again, it fits the crime.
it does. Absolutely. So, yeah, each of these people's quote unquote crimes represent a specific sin. And his murders and everything are representing a symbolic punishment for that sin. Again, like I said earlier, these people have stopped being people to him. They're not humans, they're a symbol now.
Yeah, they are tools for his amusement.
And it's a tool for him to quote unquote teach society. So he's trying, I guess, to create his own modern inferno.
For all intents and purposes, yes. And it's Detective Mills and Detective Somerset who are, I guess, Virgil and Dante respectively.
That would make sense. Everybody has their representation in this in his mind. So yeah, we've got the gluttony guy. He was forced to eat until death. Basically, he was hemorrhaging inside before he was shot. Greed was forced to cut a pound of his own flesh off. And like John Doe didn't do this. He made this man do it to himself.
At gunpoint, but still.
Yeah, but again, there's a forced participation in this. Obviously, like the gluttonous man did not want to eat himself until his stomach burst. Obviously, didn't want to do that. The lawyer didn't want to cut himself, and he ended up cutting off his love handles right there. I think that's what the picture was, or
Yeah, it
something in the
said that
movie.
he
It was
took the side
yeah.
because he asked what part of your body is.
Can you live without?
Yeah, and
or
he was trying to cut sections of the fatty tissue around,
yeah,
but again, that much trauma and blood loss.
shock and everything probably did
Mhm.
more to him than blood loss first.
I hope he had some whiskey handy in his office.
He would have to have something. My goodness. But yeah, we see Lust is murdered with an instrument of sexual violence, and that's the one again. That's such a deeply primal violation to me that's the one that gets me. Pride. She is given the option to die or live permanently disfigured, and her looks were more important to her than her life.
Mm-hmm.
So she chose death. This punishment, again, not random. These are all very, very symbolic. And I think reading Dante serves another psychological purpose for him because it elevates John Doe.
In addition to that, too, the city itself feels hellacious.
Yes,
as
it does.
Before. Hence why you see all the muted colors everywhere.
Yeah, it's a very like visually dark movie. There's very little color except like maybe in Mill's apartment when they're over there for dinner. Like the lights are very warm and everything. It's it's like a normal home. But I think that's like the brightest part of that movie was the dinner scene when Somerset and Mills and Tracy and everything were having dinner together.
And of course, at the very end, when they're in the field,
yeah,
it's very golden. The sun is shining.
And I actually love that because we're like trained to think in not just in this movie, but all these horrific things. We all have this primal instinct that they're supposed to happen in the dark. That if like the sun is shining, everything is bright, bad things can't happen.
Well, and it also goes to as well the very beginning quote from John Milton: "Long is the way and hard that out of hell leads up to light."
Yeah, and we know he was into philosophy. Like he had all these books in his apartment and everything. I don't think anything he did was accidental.
No, not at all.
But in his mind, he's now, I don't know if it's necessarily creating art, but he is thinking he's creating history here. He's creating something worthy of being remembered.
Right. In his mind, he believes that he's revealing moral truth. In a similar vein to how Dante was illustrating the consequences of sin and using that to, I guess, strengthen the faith of his day.
And even then, like, he probably wanted to be seen as someone who would be studied like Dante throughout history, because we're still studying Dante's Inferno to this day.
Yeah, because it's a great work of literature.
I mean, it is. It's an epic work of literature, and I think he wanted to create something like that everybody would study and learn from, I guess. Because again, all this was about teaching a lesson. That's what the message was. And this kind of fantasy doesn't exist in isolation. It just feeds itself. We were talking, he surrounds himself with Dante, Milton, legal texts on theology, philosophy. We do see crime reporting books and all that kind of stuff in his apartment too. He's got all those notebooks and all the photographs. Like, this is not happening in necessarily a bubble, but maybe in the bubble that John Doe created for himself. So he's built this internal universe where his actions feel they're not just justified, but they're inevitable.
Right.
I mean, I think it goes to his need to be understood. I think that's kind of what this all boils down to. He wanted to be understood. He wanted, like, his story, his...
It's interesting, too, how later on, as we see, he turns himself in voluntarily in order to accomplish his ends.
Yeah,
and,
because we've only had, the 5 murders so far, and we know there's 7.
Correct.
And in order for this tableau to be complete, that was absolutely intentional on his part. Was he always planned to get caught?
Yeah.
He just didn't want to get caught before, like, the first 5 were discovered.
It's interesting, too, how he comments in the police car. He says, "What were you 2 schmucks doing?" I mean, and they say, "Well, we would have found you eventually." Like, really?
Yeah. If he didn't want to be found, they never would have found him.
It definitely mirrors back to Ed Kemper's case, because he probably could have lasted a lot longer if he had.
They had no idea who he was, no. Until he killed his mother, her friend, and then went, tried to escape, or originally intended to, but then he just stopped at a payphone and called him and was like, "Hey, I did it. Come get me. Here's where I'm at."
Yeah, and to quote another great series, Mindhunter, which David Fincher, if you're listening to this, make the 3rd season, please. We're begging you.
I said, please give us the rest of that. Like, you left us on a cliffhanger and everything.
Yeah, anyway, going back to Mindhunter, Ed Kemper is interviewed several times. In the 2nd season, he brings up the point when they're talking about BTK, albeit not naming him at the time.
Right.
He says, "This guy that you're looking for, if he doesn't want to be caught, he's not going to be found." And I believe the character Holden says, "Well, we should be able to find him eventually." But Kemper says, "It sounds to me like everything you know about killers, you know only from the ones you caught."
Yeah. And I love that he was the one that they went back to. John Douglas and Wrestler and everything went back to all the time because Kemper was so open with him.
Right. I mean, unlike Doe here, Kemper is the kind of guy who acknowledges the horrendous things he did and actually says, "I deserve to be killed."
Yeah.
So he's very self-aware.
I think John Doe was too, in a sense, because he never intended to survive this whole series. I don't think he ever intended to live through it.
Well, he couldn't have, the way he
But I say everything
has
was
to become
so
part of
planned
it.
out. Yeah.
He has to become part of it to finish out the
But I said the
7.
only two that we have not touched on are wrath and envy.
Mm-hmm.
Although one could argue that he perhaps could have continued killing people representing these sins, at random.
Right.
But for whatever reason, I guess he thought, well, I only want every single one of these sins to be committed once in order to, I guess, solidify the example.
I think so because, again, like you said, I mean, if he didn't want to be caught, if he wanted to keep going, he would have. Like, he was light years ahead of them this entire time. He was very, very careful. He could have kept going for God knows how long. I mean, he's got to be what, like maybe late 30s, early 40s in this movie, basically, you would think.
Yeah.
He still could have gone for decades.
I'd say in his 40s. Yeah.
He still could have gone on for decades doing this. But he only wanted these specific 7.
Mm-hmm.
This was very, very carefully planned out, and we don't even know how long he was planning this.
Right.
But he knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he set out to do it.
Well, I said Sloth itself took a year.
Mm-hmm.
So he had planned this for a minimum of a year, and to set Sloth up correctly, he had a lot of pre-planning on that as well.
Exactly. Like, none of this was accidental.
Mm-hmm. I think he was planning this maybe even subconsciously from, early age on. He had something brewing his entire life.
We do see that in a lot of, like, real-life serial killers, that a lot of times these fantasies and these ideations start in, like, puberty. So, 12, 13 years old on up before they ever act on anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, this very easily could have been just fermenting in his mind. And as he got older and he started, like, reading about these things, all of this was just, this is this narrative identity that he's now building for
You
himself.
touched on that as he got older and he started reading these things and then he started developing. I wonder if he read Dante's Inferno. If he read that and that clicked and kind of set that seed to build all this in his
I say
world.
this is the one that speaks to me. This is what I need to do.
And that would explain
my life's purpose.
That would explain the religious flavor without necessarily the religion behind it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So that
it gave like kind of almost a moral compass, I guess, to him that he might have been lacking. But we do, in a lot of other serial killers, we see the narrative identity being built at least from childhood or puberty.
He still does have a moral compass, because the very reason why he's committing these crimes in the first place is to show that the acts themselves are wrong.
Right.
Yes.
But he's able to twist the moral compass into saying the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
Exactly.
His moral compass doesn't have a true north.
No.
It's relative.
But I say it's what he latched onto because it gave him the symbolism that I think he was always seeking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So people build identities through stories usually, and John Doe wrote himself into one. His identity is not John Doe or whatever his real name actually ever was.
His identity is his acts.
He is the judge, he's the prophet, he's the author, he's the architect. So without this story, that entire identity, this entire tableau collapses. He has to see himself this way. So I kind of want to move into now profiling the profilers because, again, with this narrative identity that he has constructed for himself, now we have to see why he chose the people that he chose. Okay. And the profilers, the Somerset and Mills, these were not accidental.
No.
Everything he has done up until this point is carefully constructed. Everything has an intent. Everything has a meaning here. So you get this dichotomy between Somerset and Mills. Somerset, who is Morgan Freeman's character.
Well, hold on. Let's take another break for a minute. Get a refill. I got to make a couple of announcements while we're doing this. And we will come back after a few minutes at the top of the hour here. It's about 7:56. We'll take a few minutes, take a break, refill your drinks, whatever you need to do. Come back and join us after these short commercials, and I will have an update for the following shows this evening, and they have been some news come out on those, and we'll touch on that, and then we'll move into Somerset and Mills
Profiling the profilers.
profiling the profile. So y'all hang on. We'll be right back.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Front Porch Forensics. This is the one about John Doe from Se7en, starting hour number 3 tonight. So this will be a long one, but that's okay. If you're watching live, I'm glad you're sticking with us. You still have time to call or text or drag in your people who's tied to chairs and let them listen and enjoy the show as well.
They need some human contact.
Exactly right.
Y'all have given me a lot of room to run with this one tonight. So
Yes, we started early tonight because Jut's position normally starts at 9 p.m. Central, just behind our show, which is a 2-hour hard cutoff. So we started early. Well, it turns out that they're not actually going to be on tonight after all. They had some things come up this morning and throughout the day, so they're taking this week off. So we have no time limit. We're welcome to go as far as we need to go tonight.
I get to ramble. I like that.
I'm going to keep the rambling to a minimum at least, but we'll keep the show going smooth.
Feel free to make your own drinking games if you so desire.
Yes.
There should be a drinking game every time I interrupt or something like that.
Every time I do a or an you can take a shot, but you guys will be done in like 10 minutes.
I was about to say, you will kill people. Don't do that.
There'll be alcohol poisoning involved if that's the way it goes.
Please don't do that. That's not a fun game.
Take a shot at beer. Be safe.
Yes, there you go. But yes, not the snake handler like I just said.
Yeah.
That would be bad. But yeah, so we're back. I hope you got a refill on your favorite drink and kick your feet up, sit back, because we got at least an hour to go, maybe more. We'll see how tonight plays out. Thanks for sticking with us. Invite all you other friends out to listen in, because it's just kind of a roundtable discussion. Nothing too serious tonight.
At least with Hannibal Lecter, that first one, I could have gone way longer.
Yeah.
You had to rein me in a lot on that one. But this one is like one of my other absolute favorites. So I've got like a ton of notes.
Right. And Roger's favorite as well. So
yeah.
What we're going to do
How many pages was it I had?
Yeah, 19 pages of notes. So we'll rock on. We'll just stop when it gets to a normal, like a natural feeling to end.
Natural stopping point, yeah.
I'm not going to keep us here much past our normal shut off time, but we may run over since Juts is taking off tonight. Just so you know, it'll be a long show tonight.
Yeah,
Might wind up being 2 parts.
If we end short, sorry to everyone who's addicted to the show.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
All the tens of you.
Exactly. Hey, tens of y'all is just fine with me because, like, I'm just amazed that even that many people want to hear what I have to say.
Hey,
Like,
excuse me, there are dozens of us. Dozens!
That's right.
hey, I even have haters that tune into this. So,
Yeah.
hey, sorry if the EQ is not good enough for you tonight.
Yeah.
I think
Hi,
it's,
Kendall.
I think it's better tonight than it was. So let's move on. We're going to touch on Detective Somerset and Detective Mills.
Yeah, we kind of mentioned that we're going to be profiling the profilers, the investigators now. We see this dichotomy, this like opposites attract almost thing. These are partners. Miller is played by Brad Pitt.
Mills.
Somerset Mills. I have Miller typed out, so. But yeah, Mills is played by Brad Pitt. Somerset is played by Morgan Freeman. Mills, Brad Pitt's character, he's the impulsive one. He's very hot-headed.
He's a
And
loose
for-
cannon.
And for
Yeah,
y'all,
exactly.
For y'all watching live or watching on YouTube later, Mills is the one on the right.
Well, I think
And
everybody knows
Somerset's the
Morgan
one sitting
Freeman
there.
and Brad Pitt. Somerset's the black one, is what you want to say, right?
No, I don't see race and color. Mills
see
is
Alan
younger.
written over it.
Somerset's older. Somerset's sitting down. Mills is up on the desk there.
Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. Everybody knows them. Iconic actors. But yeah, they're like polar opposites. Mills, Brad Pitt's character, impulsive, hot-headed, like you said, a loose cannon. Somerset is the opposite. He's very collected. He always remains very calm and like studious, basically, because like he knows all these literature references that are popping up in these murders now.
He's also quite emotionally cynical, as we say.
Yeah, like we don't get a lot of his background either.
But it's obvious he's seen some crap.
Yeah, he does talk about like the woman, his like serious relationship and everything in his past. Not married or anything, but they ended up pregnant, and he actually talked her into an abortion because he didn't want to raise a child in the kind of world that he is very, very familiar with. And which is kind of understandable, but then is something very important, I think, worth noting. He says that not a single day has gone by that he doesn't wish he made a different choice. That he doesn't wish he didn't convince her to do it.
Wow.
Because now Tracy has asked to speak to him privately.
Tracy
in this
is
moment.
Mills' wife.
Yes, Brad Pitt's wife, and this played by Gwyneth Paltrow, right? That's her name.
Yes.
I think. Yeah, I think it's Gwyneth. Yeah, it's
Blonde
Paltrow.
chick.
Yeah.
It's
For those of
Gwyneth.
you younger ones, it's Pepper from Iron Man. You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's her.
Also, the person who runs Goop.
Oh, don't even get me started on that. That's weird.
Modern snake oil. basically.
Yeah,
What is Goop?
you don't want to know.
All right. Good enough for me.
I love that he just trusts me on stuff like this. Like, okay, I don't need to know then. Even if I'm saying you don't want to know, he's like, nope, I don't need to know then. Because I know a lot of weird stuff. But yeah, okay.
All right, back on topic.
Yeah, Tracy, Detective Mills, Brad Pitt's wife, has asked to talk to Somerset privately. And, she's talking like, she always wanted to have children. And she finally breaks down and tells him she's pregnant. So that's when he gives like his whole story. He said, look, until you decide what you want to do about this, don't tell him. And so she doesn't, which comes into play later. And to me, that's kind of telling. She still wasn't sure if she wanted to continue that pregnancy or what. But, yeah, that's the child. Hang on, you finish up.
So talking about Somerset, which is again the Morgan Freeman character, he is the classic, hardened, knowledgeable type detective.
Yeah.
Been there, seen everything. He's on his way out. Retirement's is 7 days away. So when this new brash guy comes in and this case with John Doe starts up, he immediately off the cuff says, "I don't want it," because he knew from experience that this is going to drag out, and
Right.
that he wanted his retirement.
He was very,
So-
very
At least-
clinical and analytical
Yeah,
about
so
stuff.
he didn't look at things through an emotional uh, eyes, I guess. He looked through things very logical, and that logic come from real experience.
Mhm.
Now, of course, as things starts happening, he gets sucked in because he's an honorable man, and he wants to see this through.
Right.
He's a proponent of justice.
Yeah.
Justice needed to be done.
I could see him thinking probably though, well, if I get involved in this case, and it settles, who's to say that I don't automatically get another one?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it just perpetually snowballs.
Oh, yeah, I can't blame the man for wanting to retire. I mean, he's put his time in.
But so, I
So-
mean, you see at the beginning, he's just so like done with all this. He wants to move on, move forward with it the rest of his life.
But you see,
what all did you?
the
touch
moment
on?
you see him start recognize, I didn't go through your notes at all. I just started talking about
Oh,
Somerset.
okay.
The moment you see it click with him is when he bites and he gets interested. I think mainly it's when he brings that jar with the laminate in. Up front, he had the idea because that's what led him to learn to move the refrigerator and see
Mhm.
the word.
The quote from Paradise
Yeah,
Lost.
I
the
say
quote,
I
right?
have another moment that I think is.
But I think that
important,
moment
too.
when he realized, when he saw, was it Gluttony was the first one?
Gluttony
Yes.
was the first one.
When he seen that wrote on the wall, he knew then, okay, this is something big.
I say that's a message, and then this one on the screen. He's actually
Greed.
like on his computer in the scene and whatnot, and he hears Arlie Hermy, like we were talking about, the police chief, saying greed was written in blood on the floor, and he perks up. You can see him. He's like, okay, we had gluttony, now you've got greed.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
everything starts to click for him.
R.E.
Arlie Ermy.
Yeah.
Ermy. He is. If y'all don't know who he is, check him out because
Oh,
this dude is
you
a
gotta
real
know.
deal Marine drill
Mhm.
sergeant, and he become an actor later in life.
What was it? Full Metal Jacket? That's
Yes.
like the big one.
I
Yeah.
love this man.
Oh, I do too.
so much.
May he rest in peace.
Yes,
Yeah. But yeah,
he was a good one.
Somerset here, he understands like offender psychology too. So when he gets gluttony and he sees greed, he was like, okay. You see him perk up about this.
I just have to mention this one little aspect of Arlie Ermy's character is when he's listening. He's discussing the case with Mills and Somerset, and he's sitting at another guy's desk, and the phone rings. He picks up the
Yes.
phone and he goes, "This ain't even my desk."
Yes, and hangs it back up. Yes, I've always loved that little stuff like that.
But I say you kind of need those tiny little moments of levity in movies like this
Mhm.
because it is so just like just emotionally dark
Didn't
that you kind of have to have that small little moment there.
Didn't he have a talk show at one time?
Arlie Ermy?
Yeah.
Not that I remember, at least.
I
Maybe
say I
I'm
don't
confusing
recall
with somebody
anything.
else.
I have no idea.
It'd be nice if he did, though, because
Yeah.
I'd watch the repeats of that.
Yeah, it was one of those. For some reason, I was thinking of a radio talk show back in the day, but I may be
Well,
thinking of somebody else.
he did have a show on the History Channel called Mail Call, where he
Yeah.
reviewed weaponry.
I remember that. That was cool. But anyways, we digress.
We miss you, Gunny.
Yes.
But I see, it wasn't
For
me
sure.
that went off on a tangent this time.
Yeah.
I'm proud of myself.
Like Jason says, one of my favorite
I
lines in
always
the whole movie.
do. Okay, so that's Somerset. He's the very analytical. He is emotionally regulated, and again, maybe that comes from just him being an older man too, and being kind of seasoned detective.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Yeah, but now we get Mills, who is the young buck, and everything. He's more emotional. He's way more reactive.
Yeah, for sure.
And you see
He-
that come through in like just how he deals with other people at crime scenes.
Yeah, he's so like, what's the word? Unhinged in a way, I guess.
impulsive.
Impulsive. There you
yeah.
go. Perfect. Impulsive. That he actually marries a woman that carried a vial of blood around her neck later on in life.
Well, no, that wasn't Brad Pitt. That was
No, but Yeah, but she still at one point she wore that around, and he looked at that level of crazy and said, "Yeah, I'll marry that," and left Jennifer Aniston for her.
Oh, yeah.
So, but that was Billy Bob Thornton she was married to first.
Right, it was Bill about Thornton's
Mhm.
blood.
But he knew
That's
about
so
that blood, and he
weird.
still married her. So
Sure,
Mills
Yeah.
is crazy impulsive.
I said, who leaves Jennifer Aniston for something like that? Is that like where does that fall on the crazy hot scale?
Um,
Does it work enough for Angelina Jolie to be like that hot? And
no.
is that just too weird?
I don't know. It's maybe
You know the
there's
crazy hot scale,
Yeah, I'm
like the amount of crazy that you deal with versus how hot she is.
all I know is that apparently I've heard tell that she can suck a golf ball through a garden hose. Maybe that's why.
Okay. Robin Williams was my favorite Angelina Jolie joke ever because he says, "I just want to like wet her lips and like stick her to something."
Just stick her or something. Yeah.
So funny.
But we digress. So Brad Pitt, obviously he plays Mills. He's everybody knows who Brad Pitt is. He's a good looking guy, got that jawline, the eyes, the intensity of him.
He's got another movie coming up very soon, continuing the Once Upon a Time in Hollywood storyline.
Oh, really?
Oh, cool.
Yeah, this one's a standalone Cliff Booth movie. I
Oh,
can't wait
cool.
for it.
That'd be good. But he plays this character Mills very well because
Mhm.
he plays that intensity level so well with his facial structure works.
Do
for
you
that in a
guys
way.
remember the movie 12 Monkeys?
Yeah.
No.
Like you've never seen. Okay, you have to because he plays crazy like eerily well. Like you need to, that one was Bruce Willis too, right? Time
Think so.
Traveler.
I
Yeah,
believe so.
12 Monkeys. Go find that movie because it's another phenomenal one.
All right, don't spoil it.
No, I'm not. That's the only thing I'm gonna say is just go find that movie.
The
and
butler
watch
did it. So.
In the
So
library
anyways,
with a candlestick.
So back to
Yes.
back on point with Mills. We've covered
Yeah, he's emotional, very reactive, and again, we see this play out in like even his professional dealings with other people at crime scenes, like the other cops, the other crew, and everything. All these people, he's very, very like rude and just he always seems angry at the time. So I mean, he's impulsive, and this makes him he's very intense, and especially just with the emotions. I go back to emotional, and this makes him predictable.
I think that's part of the thing, him just being young too, you know.
It could be. And you remember, I mean, he does talk about like he's had to discharge his weapon in the line of duty before and going to the hospital in the ambulance, with the partner and whatnot. He's got some trauma there too that I think has not been reconciled. So
there's definitely some projection
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like I said, now when you look at Somerset with Morgan Freeman, to play the that part has been that seasoned veteran. He's a perfect person, and because Zelda here says Morgan Freeman has always looked at least 60 something. He's one of those people that has always looked.
I say you see him when he's younger, like driving Miss Daisy.
Yeah.
Come on, he still looked. I mean, he played like a somewhat elderly man. Like
Or Shawshank Redemption.
Exactly.
Yes.
Always wise and always, And now on the flip side, Mills, played by Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt's one of them that has always looked young.
Mm-hmm.
And young.
Even now.
And when you look at, young people versus older people, you have that, right or wrong, you have that impression that the young ones are impulsive and lacking wisdom
and tact and just like knowing when to rein themselves in. And
the question is, where does Keanu Reeves fit in that scale?
He's immortal.
Exactly.
him and Paul Rudd.
Him and Paul Rudd.
I swear to God, those men have not aged.
But Jason,
and it's weird.
Jason here said in the chat says it well. It says Mills is that cocky high school jock.
Yeah, I can see that. He thought he knew better. Like he come in, like even when Somerset wanted like a change of partner, I want to be, I'll put me somewhere else. He was kind of offended by that. Like, what, you don't want to work with me and everything? And he was like, okay, fine, just give me the case.
Yeah, you see that kind of relationship in a lot of movies. One of them that pops in mind is Any Given Sunday.
That's a great one.
It's a football movie, and you have the elder
Al Pacino.
No, you
Or-
have the
was
older.
him?
You have the yes, he was the coach.
Okay.
You have the older quarterback, which is Dennis Quaid, and the new guy comes in who's cocky, fresh arm, strong guy.
Better than you.
Who's the guy that played him?
I can't think of it now.
Anyways, he comes in. He's cocky. He's young. He's stronger. He's faster. In a sense, he thinks he's better just because of those things, so he won't listen. He makes rash decisions, all this kind of thing. So you have that wizened older leader, and then the young pup who's coming in who will eventually surpass the original guy.
I forgot James Woods was in that.
He
I'm on
will.
IMDb now, y'all.
He will eventually surpass the older leader and take the reins.
If he's able to learn from them.
But that's what I'm saying. But he has to finally swallow that pride enough to step back and do it. And Jamie Foxx is the other guy.
Okay.
Who's the other football player. But again, you see that dynamic in many movies.
Well, it's because we relate to that because overwhelmingly it seems to be true.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody younger always kind of looks on the elders and everything is, oh, you're past your prime and everything. You
Yeah.
don't know what you're talking about.
And they're hungry. They're
Yeah.
young. They're hungry. They're trying to prove themselves. I think that's where Mills falls into. It's not necessarily bad, but it is.
He's still in his learning curve, basically. But yeah, now, like, we have this, like, opposites attract partnership here. You have your calm, cool, collected, very analytical person who does not get emotional very easily. And then you have Mills, who is the exact opposite. Now, John Doe actually studies Mills because Mills is actually, because of this, he is psychologically exploitable, where Somerset is not.
Right, exactly.
So this is where we get into the manipulation aspect that I mentioned, I think, a couple hours ago in the beginning, just with that kind of psychological profile of Doe. You get the narcissism, you get the manipulation and everything from him. Because he's manipulated literally everything in his life up until this point.
Yeah.
So this now includes these detectives. Doe has already manipulated the victims, police, media, now Somerset and Mills. Doe never loses his emotional control, though, but he does make others lose theirs.
Yeah. And we see that definitely at the
Coming
climax
up, yeah.
of the movie. Is there anything you want to add as far as Somerset and Mills?
I think I'm good, thanks.
Good.
So,
Just fascinated with the spider making a web.
Yeah, right there
Oh.
over the door.
That's not fun. Why is he behind me?
Because that's just where he
You do
wants
know
to
I'm
be.
about to come across this table, right?
You're going to finish the show and it's going to be fine.
He's not going
Can
anywhere.
you watch him for me? I don't think people have ever actually seen me react to a spider, and now I'm like trying to get away from it
Mills
as much as I can.
and Somerset and Doe, the three main characters of the show.
It's not going anywhere.
Y'all keep an eye on it for me. I swear.
Well, it's fascinating. I've never seen him make a web in real time before.
Yeah. I
That's,
say it's kind of neat, but I'd rather see
One
it
of
in
the
video.
cool things about being on, outside live is this
Watching
things
me
happen.
freak out about the spiders.
Just
That's an orb weaver too. They're fat. You could turn the camera on, like people could see me freak out because I don't think anybody's ever actually seen it. Ugh. As long as
So,
y'all are watching it, I'm okay.
back on point. We're talking about John Doe now.
Okay. Intellectually, John Doe seems far more interested in Somerset than he does in Mills. Mills, like, he's already got figured out and
Do you
everything.
think he maybe respects Somerset in some way versus
Intellectually,
not,
for sure.
not respecting Mills yet?
Yeah, intellectually, there is that. Somerset understands literature. He understands symbolism. He notices all these patterns. He's capable of appreciating the quote-unquote work that John Doe is doing. So he's not really trying to manipulate Somerset here, but he is manipulating Mills And Somerset is kind of a little bit too late in realizing this, which kind of to me like, okay, he's got this guy like so far, but I don't think that he really understood the actual like depth of John Doe.
No, I mean,
He didn't realize, I think, the extent that this man was willing to go to for this narrative.
As smart as Somerset is, and as what's the word, experienced as he is, he's never dealt with someone like John Doe, not on this level.
Yeah.
Right.
And all like the even like true crime documentaries obviously are real. They're not fictional. But even in like this fictional world and everything, I don't think I've ever seen a movie with anyone quite like John Doe.
That's a good question. Not that pops out in my mind immediately. Let's see.
I was saying, I like I'm all in on like the thriller and the horror.
Now
and
we've seen other characters who do the grand displays and all that kind of stuff. As far as
he can't like flick his hand like
it
that
was a
behind me
moth.
now, 'cause
It was this whole. You've seen these grand displays of like the bodies being put on display. We've seen other characters do that. Hannibal Lecter does that in some of his things.
that one notable scene in Silence of the Lambs and everything. Ready when you are, Sergeant Pembry, and he escapes from that cell towards the end, and he strings the guy up. He kind of looks like an angel there, and he's disemboweled. Very, very, almost symbolic. I mean,
theatrical, yes. So we see those kind of characters in other movies and other shows doing things similar, but yeah, I think that John Doe stands out among those other characters too.
And like I said, he seems so detached. Like it's almost Somerset just to an extreme degree.
Yeah.
Like as analytical, as clinical, as like emotionally regulated as Somerset is. I think Somerset could be a John Doe, like if he had been warped like that.
Yeah, it's like
very
the other
easily.
side of the coin type thing.
Yeah. And I think that's why John Doe respects him on an intellectual level, because he kind of recognizes these traits in himself.
We got Raptor joining us now too. Hello, Raptor.
Hey, Raptor.
Hi, Raptor.
Yeah. Now, we talked about this earlier too. John Doe is not hiding anything, but he is carefully building a timeline. Like he wasn't caught until he wanted to be caught.
Mm-hmm.
He is not hiding. He is performing. So the detectives are now becoming witnesses to these crimes. They're his critics. They're his interpreters for this.
Right.
Particularly Somerset, intellectually anyway. But
it's interesting too when Somerset and Mills actually agree, because they commonly butt heads quite a bit throughout the entire movie. Yet Somerset notes that they agree on the fact that Doe comes into custody only because he wants to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they talk about that.
Well, they almost catch him that one time. Remember when he shoots through the door and everything at him. But I think
and Doe comes very close to shooting Mills at that point too.
I say Mills is injured and everything. He's laying on the ground in the rain.
His head, everything. So Doe could have ended it there.
Doe even tells him, "I could have killed you then, but I chose not to."
He had plans.
Yeah, and Mills was always a part of the plan. That's why I think, like, maybe being the crime scene photographer, reporter, or whatever he was, he knew Somerset. Obviously, Somerset's like the old hand and everything in the precinct. But I do think that once Mills came in, that final piece clicked into place for him.
I think so too. Yeah, he found his last piece.
Yeah,
because he knew he could manipulate him into doing what he needed to do to finish.
Yeah, he was psychologically exploitable
to finish his vision.
Tableau. Yeah, his whole narrative. So John Doe is essentially forcing these men to read the story that he has written, and the murders are not complete until they're interpreted.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going into the final crime now. The last two sins, which are
Okay.
envy and wrath.
Yep.
So when I say that Mills, Brad
Well-
Pitt's character was psychologically exploitable, he is wrath.
So do we want to talk? There's a scene where, what's
I
his
say
name?
he's been arrested, and what they do is,
But I want to go back to how when he introduces himself, how he does.
yeah, go to the capture. We'll do
Yeah.
that first, then I want to talk about his lawyer, the deal that they make.
Mm-hmm. Because he just, which I think is one of the greatest scenes of the whole movie. He just takes a taxi,
And walks straight into
the
the
police station, covered in blood, and says, "You're
Yeah.
looking for me," and turns himself in. Even that was theatrical.
And I mean, look, his fingertips are bandaged,
Mhm.
everything.
Well,
I
I say-
mean,
His shirt is covered in blood.
yeah.
even that is a theatrical moment to get a
Mhm.
reaction to. That was planned as well.
Exactly. He was seeking
There was
the
a-
exact reaction that he got.
Yeah, there was a purpose to that.
Everything. There is nothing that he does that is accidental.
Mm-mm.
Like, not in the slightest. So then after this, like, he's got this lawyer. And the lawyer is in there. He's like, I'm due to the nature of these crimes, an insanity plea will be easy. And he said, but he's willing to he's willing to confess everything. So there's 2 more victims out there. That's very telling. Said there's 2 more victims that nobody's ever found. He's manipulating this even through his lawyer. Because, I mean, technically, yes, there are still 2 victims left.
Yep.
Yes.
But Somerset tells him, like, look, all of this that, is being recorded in here in this interrogation room is going to be a matter of public record. Like, they're going to see you manipulating and blackmailing us. And the lawyer says, okay, well, there's still 2 other victims out there. Like, what's the press going to do when you had a chance to go find these victims and give their families closure and you didn't take it? So, of course, they agree to this deal with John Doe and his attorney. And the deal was that Somerset and Mills both had to agree to the deal. Both of them did.
Both of them, yep.
One of them couldn't say yes, and the other say no. They both had to say, "Okay, we'll do this."
Mm-hmm.
And he was going to take them to this remote place where he had the other 2 bodies, which I still think is just absolutely brilliant. I mean, these are the spoilers, guys. If you have not seen this movie, like, you may want to, like, mute, walk away or something, but we're into the spoilers now. So they drive out into the desert where, what are those, like, are they the, like, power line?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're walking to a field, it looked like a field of grain.
Yeah.
Wheat field. And
I say it's very bland looking. I mean, it's
gold.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's there's nothing there for miles around. Even the people in the helicopter were like, look, if he's planning an ambush, they can't do it because you can see for miles.
Mm-hmm.
So John Doe is talking this entire time. And I can't remember everything that he says and whatnot, but it is all very, very telling.
Yeah.
Like, he's laying out everything because, okay, here's your spoilers. He knows he's about to die.
Yeah.
So he finally tells them to, like, stop the car. They get stopped. He's going to walk them to the spot where, quote unquote, the bodies are buried, or where the bodies are. And they see another car coming down off in the distance and everything, like a delivery van.
Yep.
Again, you can see for miles here. So you see the dust trail, you see, like, the sun winking off the middle of the car. So Somerset decides, I'm going to go get in my car and go stop
his
this.
speech, if you want it, the monologue.
Yes,
on
let's
their
do
way
that.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's absolutely
Let's.
do that.
I got to let a commercial pass, but as soon as the commercial clears, I can't put it on the screen because of copyright stuff, but I can
So
play
you can hear the
audio of it.
dialogue.
Yeah,
So
I can play the audio of it. So. It's from the back seat talking about innocent people.
Or lack thereof.
all right.
sedan as well. To make a move about money, you every breath that you could muster to keep your moral and righteous standard murder. It's so ugly on the inside that she couldn't bear to go on living. She couldn't do it on the outside. A drug dealer, a drug dealing pederast, actually. But let's not forget the disease spreading whore. Oh, shit. Did you even try to say this is innocent people and keep a straight face? You see a deadly sin of interest in color or every home. And what's more, the cover the cover of the man in the world. I'm setting an example. And what our man is going to do. As they will
Yep, that was the quote that I read at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
I wanted y'all to hear it from him because you can hear the emotion in his voice because he is, like I said, 100% convinced he's doing the right thing.
He's at this point. He's in the back of the cop car. He is proselytizing to them right now. He is preaching. This is his message that he wanted to get out to the world. He's letting them know. And again, now we have the delivery van coming down the road.
Yeah.
So Somerset jumps back in the car. He's going to go stop this van, obviously, because you have to. There's a murderer in your custody. You can't let anybody else have access to him. So he stops it. This poor guy driving the van, he was like, look, I was just given $500 to deliver this package. He's like, I'll just leave. Here you go.
Amazon Prime, right?
And it's a box, it's got handle with care, the fragile stickers all over it and everything. He's like, I'll get out of here. Here's the package I was supposed to deliver. Bye. Which I don't know, they probably wouldn't let him leave. Like some other cop's probably going to meet him and be like, who paid you to do this? All that kind of stuff. Now it's only Somerset by the van. And he's like a good distance away from Mills and John Doe. And nobody wants him. Like he's getting the radio contact and everything from the helicopter that's monitoring all this. And he's like, look, I'm just going to go ahead and open this. Like if it was a bomb, he would have just done something. So he whips out his pocket knife and everything and starts opening the box. And we never actually see it, but the box is opened up.
We do see blood.
He visibly reacts to it. Like he jerks backwards from this box. And he is shocked right now.
And he says John Doe has the upper hand.
Yeah, he said, everybody back off. John Doe has the upper hand. And he just starts booking it back to Mills, yelling and everything. Mills is looking at him because he can't hear him. Still has his gun trained on John Doe and everything. He's, he's saying what is he saying? Because he can't hear him.
While he's doing this, John Doe's talking to him, telling him about how much he envied his life and that his pretty wife, and how he went and visited his wife
and tried to play the role of husband, and he's like, it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And he flat out tells Mills, but I took her head.
I took a trophy, or memento.
Yeah.
And he tells her it's his head. So
now at this point, okay, there's the child. John Doe he has never broken eye contact with Mills at this point. He is just locked in on this man's face. And that's the famous scene. Brad Pitt starts, yelling. He's crying. He's like, what's in the box? Mm-hmm. What's in the box? Just tell me what's in the box. And John Doe is still talking and saying all this stuff, and finally tells him
her pretty little.
Yeah. And finally tells her, watch out, baby. Yeah, I reacted the same way. But
I'm going to play this real quick while y'all deal with this virus and get in. This is the scene played in the background here where Somerset just opened the box up. You have Mills in the background with John Doe. John Doe at this point is telling him what's going on, but Mills doesn't want to believe it. So that's the scene, the big reveal at the end of the movie, right? Where we see that what's in the box. Now, of course, they don't ever show what's in the box, but he tells us what's in the box, and by their reaction, I believe he's telling the truth.
I say it's a very intense scene.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's where he reveals the last two victims.
I am envy. I wanted the life that you
Yep.
had.
And then he tells
You
David
become wrath.
Mills to become wrath, which would tie up the last of the seven.
Yeah, David Mills was his final victim.
Yep. And it was interesting too that he doesn't kill
No,
his victims every time, but he
I
destroys
say,
them
yeah,
nonetheless.
lust, and wrath didn't die.
Yeah. Did Sloth die?
They said that even talking to him, the shock would kill him.
Yeah, they said that
Like he was basically
I remember they
done.
said something about.
But he did die from shock afterwards.
Yeah, I know they said that he was living in hell for the rest of his life, but I didn't know how long that rest of that life was.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember.
But yeah, I mean, the cruelty and everything was the point to get David Mills to the point of wrath.
Mm-hmm.
She begged for her life and the life of the baby inside her,
Mm-hmm.
and then looked at him, and you see it. Like if you can remember that scene, he does this little smirk, looks up at Somerset, said, "He didn't know."
Oh, he didn't know. Yep.
Just the cruelty was the point there. And again, that was orchestrated specifically to make him angry enough.
Yeah. To push him to the point of wrath.
John Doe's masterpiece there required that audience.
Mhm.
It wasn't simply revenge, it was that final chapter. Without if Mills had listened to Somerset and like gave him his gun and walked away, the whole narrative fails
I
and he
think
doesn't complete the
I
tableau.
think you would have seen him literally come apart if he would have lost his mind if Mills would have turned the
Yeah.
gun over and walked away. Because
Yeah, he
everything,
probably would have just come completely
yeah, because
unglued.
his masterpiece, everything he'd worked for,
Relied on
Yeah.
that moment.
and then it was taken away from him. He would have come
And
apart.
another interesting thing, this is like really the one time you see Somerset actually show any kind of emotion when he's like pistol whips him
Yeah.
for about to reveal that Tracy was pregnant. Like he has not done anything like that this entire movie. He's even been trying to rein Mills in when he gets all hot headed like that.
Yeah.
And he just pistol whips the dude to try and shut him up because he knows what he's trying to do.
Yeah, you got that. Especially you harken back to earlier in the movie where, after John Doe had shot at him through the door and everything, Mills wants to immediately just kick the door in, go in, and start.
Mhm.
And Somerset has to stop him. Like, no, we have to do this
A certain
a certain
yeah.
way, or we fail. And we see this again now, but yet he gives in and slaps Doe to try to shut him up, but it's too late.
Well, he only did that actually to protect Mills. He didn't
Yeah.
want Mills to succumb to that kind of manipulation. So, I mean, I think that's telling. There was a respect there between Somerset and Mills. And I honestly don't know in that situation if I would have done anything other than what Mills did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's why some of these sins are so relatable, like especially wrath in that situation. It's not just your wife. You had a baby, you know? Like you lost your entire family in one fell swoop.
Right.
And
So he's got nothing left to lose.
He basically
Yeah.
lost his future.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it's just.
Didn't he
it's
say
horrific.
something about him, Mills, and his wife being high school sweethearts at one point in the
I
movie?
think so. When they were
do
having the dinner, and
because she's like, yeah, I know it's cliche or whatever.
yeah,
But, so I mean, this is the love of his life. This is his future, his everything. So he lost it all at that point.
just in one single act.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, do y'all think that Doe was trying to punish sinners necessarily, or was he just trying to immortalize himself?
I think it's more the former,
Do you think it was the sinners thing?
Because if he truly was more about himself, he would have had he wouldn't have gotten rid of his identity.
Yeah, he would have had a name to it if he had wanted to be. If
That's
he
true.
wanted to be remembered, then he would have had his name. He would have been identified. He wouldn't have died.
Well, no, I mean that immortality, immortalizing himself, wouldn't actually even require a name. The entire world would still know who he was.
I think he wanted his movement to be immortalized. But
Well, not a movement. I mean, he didn't have followers or anything. It
no,
wasn't
he
like a
actually
cult.
specifically says, and will be followed. He was expecting to have followers from this.
But I say you
So
can
it is a
He was
reasonably.
setting an example for others to
Yeah,
follow. It was
so
all
he
about
was-
that, not
Yeah,
about him.
you can reasonably expect copycats.
Yeah, so he absolutely, this was a movement in his mind
Yeah,
to
but,
kick off a movement.
But
even,
again, that still would, in a way, immortalize himself.
but even for instance, like with copycat killers, that's more incidental to me. What-
Copycats usually are specific. They're actually trying to be copycats of whatever they're doing.
Well, true, but what I'm saying is that the person they're not copycatting is necessarily it's not like a killer does what he does in order for others to follow him. That's my point.
Yeah, the original killer, like 9 times
Yeah.
out of 10.
Which would be the case with John Doe here, because he's saying, no, I want people to follow what I'm doing,
Yeah.
not me specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely wanted copycats, but in a way, that is immortalizing himself.
I guess I can see that argument.
But I think it kind of works both ways here. Like, and I don't actually think he was religious at all
No, I
in
don't
any
think so
sense.
either.
So it wasn't about punishing sinners. But I do think that he was, again, it was more the moral and societal decay of civilization that he was penalizing, basically.
So it comes down to, does he care more about morality or legacy? Kind will be the second part of that.
Honestly, I still say it was probably more legacy. I think the morality aspect of it was just a means to an end.
I think it's both.
Yeah, I think the morality is his legacy.
But I
Yes.
mean, what kind of morality is that when you're murdering people?
He was.
Murdering
But it's
pregnant
murdering.
women and
It's murdering to illustrate the point of society's degradation.
Yeah.
So he's wanting others to follow in that similar vein in order to continue drawing attention how bad society is.
Yeah, he wasn't murdering anybody. He was cleansing the planet,
yeah.
and he was making an example. He even says, "I am the example, and that I will be followed," in that little speech. So I think
But
he
say
is doing that.
he chose envy as his own sin.
Hmm.
I think he always intended for himself to be a victim of this, essentially,
Hmm.
because he recognized that immorality in himself, maybe.
In a way, too, it could also be argued that maybe envy was his sin because he actually did envy being normal.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
I like that.
in the sense that because he was so repulsed by society, he kind of wished that he wasn't.
He saw
Yeah.
Mills and his wife as something pure, married couple.
But say, I mean, they probably had their issues and everything individually, but yeah, married,
Mhm.
about to have a baby, home, and
Yep.
everything, like this
And
kind of
he even-
stability that he'd never
he even
had.
mentions that he tried to play house.
He
with
tried to
her.
play husband with her, and
Yeah.
that didn't work out.
So he
awful.
realizes the flaw inside himself as well, that he couldn't have that normal life. So he was envious of it. He
So
coveted it.
I think the next question's pretty easy to answer. Would he still commit these murders if no one ever knew about him?
Well, it kind of defeats the point if they don't.
Would
Oh.
he commit these murders if no one ever knew about it?
It was the message that was kind of the entire point behind it.
And it was
so
definitely the message that was behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he wouldn't commit them in that instance, I would say, because then there's no point to them.
exactly.
I don't know. He may do the murders, but they wouldn't be in a theatrical kind of way. They wouldn't be made to
I
make
think-
a point.
I think
Then it
he-
would mainly be about punishing the wicked, not just setting the example.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he may have still done the murders, but not in a way that it would.
Yeah, they
The
would be
message
elaborate.
wouldn't be
Yeah,
there. That's why I'm
exactly.
saying I don't think it would even be those even types of murders. He probably just would have been a run-of-the-mill serial killer.
Very likely could have.
Because the message, like, if he can't do his message, then, like I said in the beginning, he's just another murderer.
Exactly.
So I think that he always had that drive to commit murder, but he needed that meaning. He had to have that psychological meaning for himself
Mhm.
in order to justify it.
All right.
So I don't think that these specific murders would have happened, but he would have just been a serial killer.
Yeah, I think he would have killed I think he would have continued to cleanse the world of the sinners, but without trying
Without
to get
that messaging.
without his trying to get that message out there, he would have just done it.
Yeah.
He wouldn't have been theatrical about it. He wouldn't have posed it. He
But
wouldn't
say
have.
he probably would have been more like the avenging angel type
He wouldn't
thing.
have
like,
engaged the police department to get them to spread the message for him.
yeah,
He
and the
would have just-
media and
Exactly.
everything.
He would have
so,
just done it.
yeah. I have another question. Does that surrender when he, shows up to the
Police
police department covered in blood? I'm the guy you're looking for. Does it prove that the recognition then was more important than the killings?
No, I think he just needed to be caught to finish the last two, him and the detective.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, he manipulated even his lawyer at this time. Was
I-
telling him, like, oh, there's two more bodies out
Exactly.
there, but you got to come with me and everything. He was trying to get them isolated.
Yeah, he
for
needed to
this.
surrender to get caught so he could complete his message.
Yeah.
Right.
And going back to Dante, I do have another question. Is Doe's greatest fantasy being remembered centuries later the way we remember Dante and these kind of writers, these kind of intellectual thinkers, these great minds of our time.
Mhm.
Like, do you think that recognition, he wanted to be remembered all this time later, like we still remember Dante?
What do you think? I got my answer immediately. So
I would say so. He wants his work to be remembered.
yes, he wants his message to be remembered.
I say
Again,
that's why he didn't pick his own name to
exactly.
attach
That's why
to
he went
it.
with John Doe and took him losing his identity wasn't so he wouldn't get caught. Him losing his identity so he wouldn't confuse the message.
I
It's
say
also a
because it
message.
wasn't important to the message.
Right.
Who
Well,
he
his
was.
message is anyone can do this.
Yeah.
John Doe is anyone.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
his name was not important to any of this at all. I mean, getting rid of his fingerprints, possibly the teeth thing that you mentioned earlier with the dentures, the half a set of dentures. Maybe he was doing all this stuff so he couldn't ever be identified.
Right.
Because like in this day and age, like of course he's gonna have probably dental records from when he was a kid or something.
That's something he would assume.
So yeah, his fingerprints, his teeth. Obviously, I don't think he ever got caught for a crime because in that day and age, even then, they take the DNA and they put it into like CODIS and
Mhm.
stuff. So even if they took his DNA, even if they took his blood or something afterwards, they probably would have pulled anything up on him.
Well, in 1995 and before, fingerprints, dental records, that was the main go-to.
Yeah, that was still
Right.
like very, very heavily.
Nowadays, they would
The
track his
DNA
blood,
Yeah.
DNA tracking. But back then,
But
that was the main
again,
way of doing it.
well, but they were kind of getting all this set up and everything back then. But if he had committed another crime and been any kind of violent offense and had been arrested, they still would have taken his DNA and put it into that system, even if they weren't able to immediately like pull him up in the system. So I don't think that before these murders he ever did anything.
Probably not enough that he would get caught doing it.
So no fingerprints, no DNA, no dental records. Again, he made himself John Doe.
Yeah,
Completely anonymous. He disappeared.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I think it was more not trying to get caught, more just erasing who he is.
Yeah. Because again, it was the message that was more important than his identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some like discussion only type things. So to me, these are just notes that I took like watching the movie today. Strong psychopathic traits. The narcissism, the manipulation, lack of empathy. To me, all that is evident here.
Right.
Perfectionism, like to the extreme. Like I consider myself a perfectionist, but it's nothing like this dude.
Assuming that he was reading Marquis de Sade's works and was gaining at least some sexual pleasure from it, it can indicate that perhaps he did have at least some depraved tendencies with some of the crimes he committed.
Probably, but there was no sexual component to any of these. Like, nothing. He seems completely asexual. I mean, I think that's part of erasing his identity, like erasing his base urges too. Because there's nothing sexual in the crimes except for lust, and obviously that sin is a sexual sin.
I think he would have seen himself. Okay, he obviously doesn't see murder as sinful the way he's doing it because it's
He sees it as righteous murder.
Right. So I think he, in reality, if assuming in this universe of being real, right, with John Doe, I think he would have been a teetotaler when it come to sin. He would have been extremely careful not to do anything that he would see as sinful.
Right.
So a sexual component would fall into lust. So he would have to be completely unaware or subconsciously doing it as if there was a sexual component to it.
Yeah, these were definitely not sexually motivated murders. He got no sexual gratification from any of this.
Yeah. So
I think
I would lean that direction.
I think that book and everything was mainly because a lot of that was almost sexual torture. Like in a way, it was almost like a punishment in and of itself. Sex was, because that's a very, very rough book. I don't know if anybody has read it, but again, like reference sections in libraries, you can't check it out, but usually you can sit down and flip through it. It's not one I recommend. I have a lot of books I'll recommend to people all the time, but not that one. So, I have written down here that I thought his power comes from controlling emotions and behavior in people and not just in taking their lives. Like, that was incidental. I think
Yeah.
the deaths were. It was the punishment.
Yeah, because if death was the ultimate punishment, then he would have killed everyone involved.
Exactly.
He left some alive on purpose.
That was their punishment.
Now, his last monologue does mention the woman, the prostitute, as his target, but leaving the lustful and sinful man
He was
alive,
married. That was adultery.
yeah, being adultery and all that, that is also a form of punishment upon itself.
I say lust and wrath were left alive because he needed to psychologically break those men,
Mhm.
and he did it very, very
Yeah,
effectively.
that's definitely a form of torture
Torture, yeah.
itself, leaving them alive sometimes.
Yeah, I'm trying to I think the lust guy. I don't know. I mean, if you see the movie and everything, and you see how that man reacted, I hate to say it, but he probably didn't live too much longer after that. That kind of thing sticks with you, and I don't think that he would have overcome that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to think about.
But yeah, like I said, very strong psychopathic traits there, what we associate with antisocial personality disorder. Again, with the obsession, the perfectionism, and he has this grandiose moral thinking, you know.
Mhm.
But I don't think that in this case, this dude is not psychotic. He might be a psychopath the way we generally understand that.
He's not insane.
Yeah, he knew exactly what he was doing. He knew it was wrong. Like, he was not unaware, he was not disconnected from reality.
No.
Not in the slightest. So, like, there's no schizophrenia, there's no psychosis, there's no delusional disorder.
And he couldn't have those things and be as organized as he was.
No. Usually when you see the traits like that, the disconnect from reality, it's very sloppy work compared to what he's doing here. This is very, very meticulous. It's planned down to the last minute detail.
Right.
Like, again, I think he even chose the detectives to be in charge of this case.
Mhm.
I think everything he did was leading to that moment.
Yeah, he's kind of like the especially when you think about his journals and the way he just cataloged everything. Like, I could picture him being like the male version of Monica Geller with her folders with the color tabs and everything.
Are
You
you
know
trying to say something?
that he is so meticulous in everything he done. There was no insanity of any kind.
No.
That the way we would think of insanity.
Yeah.
There was nothing like that present in him.
I say the note that I wrote earlier, coldly ideological.
Yeah, that works.
Very cold. Like, he's disconnected maybe from his emotions, but you do see that little smile when he says, "Oh, he didn't know,"
Right.
because that he took pleasure in.
Yeah.
I think just
think
hurting him like
I
that.
think that was the one moment that he didn't have control over.
Yeah.
I think he
let that
honestly
mask
was
slip a
surprised
little
of
bit.
like, oh, he didn't know, which made it even tastier
Yeah.
for him at that point.
I don't know. Do you think that John Doe realized that he didn't know? I mean, everything else has been, because this woman's begging for her life.
Mm-hmm.
At some point during that, she probably had to tell him, like, he doesn't know, like, please let me and my baby live. So
I don't know, but I took it just because his mask slips so perfectly that.
it's that moment of, like, pleasure
And
in
here's
his
the
face.
thing, and I'm gonna attribute this to Kevin Spacey. He plays that moment as if, oh, this is pleasurable, this is unexpected, and
It's
a
not
person,
even a full smile either.
a person like that is so calculated, something that surprises them comes across as a pleasure.
It's joy for him.
So I think the character John Doe didn't know that Mills was unaware about the baby.
And again, like, this entire movie, like, he is very, very distant. He's very cold, like I said. you don't see emotion. Like, his voice is even deadpan.
Mm-hmm.
There's no inflection in his voice whatsoever. I mean, even when he gets kind of heated in the back of the cop car and he's giving his like monologue, there's not a whole lot of emotion there, which is so weird because you kind of do see emotion in Somerset and Mills,
Mm-hmm.
but he makes them, for some reason, being so deadpan, being so non-reactive. There's so much more depth to him than there were those other two characters that
Mhm.
actually showed emotion and everything.
Exactly. Yeah.
He played this absolutely beautifully.
You don't have to like Kevin Spacey as a human, but you got to give him his flowers when it comes to acting. He's does
Yeah, I
good.
mean, he's one of the greats when it comes to that particular talent.
All right. Well, let's move on to the next questions and thoughts. We're past 9 at this point, so
But I say we're into my notes on our closing thoughts. Yeah, like y'all were saying, he doesn't see himself as a murderer.
mm-mm.
He's the author of this narrative. He's telling this story. Every victim is a chapter in this story. So every crime scene is a page. And again, there's absolutely nothing that he did not think of in these crimes.
Right.
He covered every single possible base, and even then some that we didn't even know existed before. He is that detailed with this kind of stuff. The detectives are simply his readers that he knew would finish the story exactly the way he planned it to. That's why I'm saying Somerset and Mills, they weren't just randomly assigned to this. He somehow knew that all of this would happen. He was planning for those two.
Yeah.
Or maybe at least Somerset in the beginning, because Mills transferred him from somewhere else.
The way I saw it is he was planning, and it could just be coincidental, okay? And that's fine. Maybe it just happenstance that it started on Somerset's last week. But I think that Somerset was his target in the beginning as far as the one that he wanted the attention of.
Intellectually, he respected him in a way.
And then,
he knew that Somerset would be the one to get it.
And then when that's what I was going to say, because of the clues, he knew Somerset would get those clues.
Absolutely.
Mills was the wild card thrown in, and I think about midway through, he realizes when he gets Mills, when Mills reacts and he chases him and he has Mills with a gun against his head and everything. I think at that moment is when John Doe says, "I can use this guy."
I say he's hot-headed. That's anger.
I can use this guy. There's my wrath. So that's why he lets him live.
Okay. Well, do you think that maybe he had another quote unquote wrath picked out and then like substituted, like decided Mills works better for this?
I think so. I think he was going to try, and I don't know what his plan would have been to turn Somerset.
I don't think he could have, and I think that's the reason he never went that route with Somerset. He wanted Somerset to read his story. He wanted Somerset to interpret it.
Wrath could have been something completely different. I don't know. But I think Mills was not planned on until that moment. And then he realizes, oh, here's my wrath.
Because, yeah, again, Mills was brought in. He was transferred in from another precinct.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you got to remember that
he could have planned for Somerset, but not knowing who Somerset would be paired with.
And you got to remember that John Doe didn't manipulate Mills into coming there. Mills asked to come there.
He requested it.
Yeah,
he requested the transfer.
I think when Mills, that moment when they have the shootout and he's chasing him, and finally, John Doe has Mills with a gun against his head. I think at that moment he realizes I can use this guy.
He saw during that chase and everything how impulsive Mills was, how hot-headed. He was like, I can exploit this.
Yep.
So maybe there was another victim who was supposed to be in Mills' place.
I think so, yeah. And it may not have been Somerset, but I think someone else.
I don't think it was going to be Somerset, obviously. Somerset was the one he wanted to read his story.
Mm-hmm.
Somerset's the one he wanted to interpret it. He couldn't kill him.
Right.
He couldn't do anything like that. Somerset would have just had to live with that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
That would kind of been his punishment for being smart, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, his killings are not just these acts of violence. Like, the violence was kind of almost beside the point. They're very carefully constructed communications. And he wanted Somerset to break down that communication to understand it. That's what Somerset was in this dynamic. these were designed to shape, like I said earlier, how others think, feel, and ultimately behave.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like y'all were saying, like any kind of copycats that he spawned or whatever were supposed to carry on this message about this
Yeah.
moral and
I
societal
think
decay.
so too.
It was intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't see himself as a murderer. He is the author.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he borrowed from Inferno because he admired Dante. I mean, you probably did intellectually because he is a very brilliant man, obviously.
Right.
He borrows this because it's what every grandiose storyteller wants. They want to create a work that outlives its creator. The murders are horrific, as those of y'all watching live and everything saw in some of the still shots we posted from the movie. In his mind, that's just the medium for the message. You know,
Yeah.
that it's like the canvas that he's painting on.
From his perspective, he said that basically he's hitting someone with a sledgehammer to get their attention.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, that is definitely like seeing some of those pictures and everything. Even though I know it's not real, like I mean, it hits you in the face like a sledgehammer.
Yeah, you get that shock value to wake people up and get people moving and reacting.
And that was his real story that he was trying to tell.
Mm-hmm.
And he desperately wanted the world to read it.
Right.
Even if it cost him his life. And again, I don't think he ever intended to live through this.
No.
I think he always knew that envy was his sin and he was always going to be punished for it.
I think Mills may have changed the ending as far as him becoming envy. But I think I agree with you. I think he always intended to die. But when Mills come on the scene and he started studying Mills, maybe that's when he became aware of the envy. I don't know.
I say, yes, I think he intended to die because can you imagine that man living out his life in prison?
Yeah.
Do you know the kind of cult following he could develop in prison with those already violent people?
Because
my God.
if we think about just the what ifs, if he hadn't have met Mills, perhaps he would have ended it with him being wrath. And he would have found someone else's envy, just some other random sinner. It's interesting to see because I think once Mills enters the picture and he actually realizes what Mills is as far as being angry and wrathful, I think that may have changed his ending to his story.
Yeah.
Again, I don't think he ever intended to live. He wanted to be that martyr to get his message out.
There's nothing better for a cause than a martyr.
Yeah, but he very well could have been planning to be wrath at the end. A justifiable,
the avenging angel.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, the justifiable anger.
Mm-hmm. And that's just my kind of thoughts on the movie, how it would have played out without Mills, without that moment in that alley.
But Mills was kind of incidental.
Well, he was the
twist of fate almost.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't incidental until he became the center. All of a sudden, it's like, hey, we're going to pivot because I have this guy now.
Yeah. Someone, and again, he saw that weakness in Mills and knew that he could exploit the crap out of it.
Exactly.
But again, you guys, I don't think y'all are weak men at all. But put yourself in that position. You'd probably do the exact same thing that Mills did.
Oh, that Mills did? Yeah, I think so. All right. So, do you have any last thoughts, Roger?
I got nothing.
Got nothing. I think we covered it pretty well. How about you?
We spent a couple of hours, so I know everything I had in my brain is now I have vomited it forth.
Well, we here at Front Porch Transits are thoroughly enjoying the Real Killer series.
This has been a lot of fun.
As normally we would have a moment for in memoriam and all this stuff, but again, these are fictional characters and fictional situations. So
no real person died.
Exactly.
Thank God.
So I hope you guys are enjoying this series as much as we are. I thoroughly enjoyed having Roger with us tonight. I hope he had a good time. I know he's got a late night still. He has some driving to do, so I want to cut this short, not keep him out too much longer.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to say in closing? You want to tell the people bye or tell them where they can find you or anything? What you're up to? You share as much as you want to share.
Yeah.
Okay, well, any of you desire to follow me, I'm available on Twitter at Incan Pollock. Well, at American Pollock.
Yep.
Correction. And Epstein didn't kill himself.
Very nice. That's at American Pollock. Good dude. It's a good follow. So check him out and give him a follow.
Like I said,
Good
we'll
guy.
vouch for him. He's like my unofficially adopted little brother. So.
I am BumpStock Ken. I help run the Front Porch Forensics page, which is FP_forensics. If you search Front Porch Forensics on anything, podcast, YouTube, whatever, I kind of run those pages and keep that stuff going behind the scenes. So you can find this show on YouTube at Front Porch Forensics. You'll find it on any podcast player, which obviously is just audio. But just search Front Porch Forensics. You can find us. We are under the umbrella of klrnradio.com. Check that out. There's a plethora of other podcasts and shows and all kind of plays and everything. There's so much you can find out there. Go to klrnradio.com, search it up, find the podcast you enjoyed. There's even a store that's got some merchandise in it. Visit that. Give any show that you look, give us a 5-star review, if you will, because that helps gets the word out and it helps us grow so we can reach more people. We had quite a few in tonight, which is nice, being live. If you couldn't catch us live, that's fine. Podcast player, Front Porch Forensics, and on YouTube. So look us up.
And we will be back next Saturday again.
Yeah, we'll
we
be
haven't
back
settled
next
on
Saturday.
which movie we're going to do, but
It will still be part of the Real Killers series. And you are?
I'm BumpStocks Barbie, which most of y'all know me. I have a whole bunch of pages. Like I have one for stitching, I have one for plants, I have one for baking.
You got BumpStock Baker, BumpStock Botanical,
BumpStock Botany, and then BumpStock Stitcher.
Yeah. That's all her.
Yeah. I also write for Twitchy. I have that link in my bio on BumpStock Barbie.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's kind of it for me.
Well,
I always forget how much I do.
Like she mentioned earlier, we will be back next week. We'll make an announcement of which character we're going to look at. Maybe do something along the lines of the Scream characters, or maybe do a show about a TV series like Dexter.
I think we do have Dexter on our list, and I mean we can stretch that one out for 2 hours because there's like a bunch of seasons, and we can kind of touch on those killers
but
too.
We're going to look at cinematic, big screen and small screen. But we'll make an announcement later on this week of who will be. But we'll be back next week.
We are planning to do Patrick Bateman from American Psycho at some point. Yeah, I know he's on our list.
We'll be back next week, same time, 7. Well, we started at 6 this week, but probably 7 p.m. next week, Central Time, right here on X, and I think maybe on Facebook even. So join us live if you can. Again, if you can't, you can find us. Just search Front Porch Forensics.
Name our other little guest up here. He's outside and around my plants, so he could stay, but I'm not happy about it.
So until next time, y'all be careful and be safe. And
y'all please don't do anything that's going to land you on an episode of our show.
That's right. We will see y'all later.